Great. So we are talking about dementia today. It's one of my favorite subjects, and I worked in the high care dementia unit for the past 5 years. I was stuck in there, locked away in there. So I have quite a bit of experience, and through the years I have also in different homes where I've worked, I've had different, like early years when dementia first was sort of unknown. We've had some really interesting people with dementia. It's a very sad disease, and everyone's different, and there's so many unique cases. At the same time, I don't want to say it's sometimes entertaining also, because they come up with the strangest things. It's I have incorporated in this slideshow quite a bit of Tipa Snow, because I love the way she represents things, and I'm not able to do it as well as what she can do it. Even though I might have some of the information, I'm not able to communicate the way she does. And I just think you'll benefit from seeing her acting and the way she presents. But I just want to put a disclaimer. There's some of the videos, little video extracts and things, where she refers to Christianity particularly. There's just one I saw. It starts off a bit on that. It's let's take it in the light of what it is. It's for the client's needs and what it is. It's not a personal message to anyone. I'm not religious at all. I don't mind what people believe. I have my own set of whatever, but it's not aimed at reaching anyone. The message behind the message is what I'm trying to get across, and which you will pick up on when you get to that place. So chapter 6, how do I get there? I just I'm on chapter 6. I have to go right to the beginning. You just close that for a sec. Where's the slideshow? Where it must have been where I stopped last night. Okay. So providing support to people living with dementia. So preparing to provide support for those affected by dementia in this unit. I am going to just sort of do the headings of the chapters, and then when we go to the questions, because the assessment booklet is so massive, and I've worked through the assessment booklet, a lot of the things that in sort of the chapters is in the assessment anyway, so we'll discuss it when we get to those. So we will just do an overview of the whole book, and then we'll go a bit more into depth when we discuss the questions. So just trying to get a basic understanding in, to be realistic, this unit is actually, to really get an understanding of it will probably take you 6 months. It's like a full-time course. And if you're interested in it, remember there is that free course that the University of Tasmania offers to get a Cert 4 in dementia. And you can carry on building on that to get, actually then you should get a degree in dementia. And it's funded by the Commonwealth. So, if you're eligible for the funding, which all of you would be if you're Australian citizens, then you can do it for free. And it's not a HEGS loan, it's actually completely funded. So dementia means deprived of the mind, and it is used as a blanket term for a group of different illnesses with progressive and unusual and usually an irreversible loss of mental function. There's been stories that, some people have treated their parents with things like blueberries and, high what is it, flavonoids and carotenoids and all these antitoxin type food stuff, and it's helped to sort of, you know, lessen the degree of dementia the person was going through. So there's advantages in food. And just remember, dementia is not a normal part of aging. It's very essential to know that. There's a lot of young onset dementia these days as well. So it's actually not just the elderly that are affected by it. So I was, and once I say that, you'll never ever look at a strawberry differently. But it's, if you look at the brain, the normal brain looks like a very fresh strawberry when you cut it in half. And a brain that is affected by Alzheimer's and dementia looks like a very old strawberry that's fallen. You know how strawberry dries out in, yeah, it looks like cauliflower, but you know how it's white inside the strawberry? And it shows you when it's an old strawberry and it's dried out, there's actually holes inside the strawberry, where those holes is filled with white flesh when it's a fresh one. So the brain gets dehydrated, and you know, different processes happen in the brain, and that yeah, so that's how the brain looks when it's affected. It's also really tricky to see some of these things on MRIs. At one of the slides, T-Person has actually got some brain pictures of them. It's been highlighted, different areas of the brain is highlighted. And when you watch Grey's Anatomy or one of these shows, then you see how they highlight the brain. Oh, there's a tumor and it's a big red blob. Those are image enhanced pictures. It's not really like that. It's black and white like X-rays, and you know, it's just the specialist that sort of highlights what they can see, what we as a normal person probably can't see when it's just black and white. So it's really hard for scientists and people doing research about dementia to actually really see what's going on in the brain. MRI is not going to give you the true picture of what's happening. So types of dementia, Alzheimer's disease is probably the biggest part of dementia, and we will talk about Alzheimer's in itself, and you have a big assessment in the back of your book where you have to research the different types of dementia, and then you'll, you know, sort of get a better understanding. Alzheimer's is where the tentacles in the brain are blocked, so the messages don't go through. Where dementia is where parts of the brain actually dies. So it's just a type of dementia. So it's like an umbrella, and then underneath this umbrella is all the different types of dementia. Then you get vascular dementia, and that's caused from strokes. So like somebody has a small stroke and a part of the brain dies. Sometimes TIAs is tiny little strokes that they get because of the blood, or little blood clots going through the brain, and then that part of the brain then dies. Then there's Lewy bodies disease, which accounts for about 20% of dementia. And Lewy bodies are sort of, you know, people with Parkinson's sometimes develop Lewy bodies, the frontal lobe dementia, and those are the dementias. It can also be related to alcohol and drug abuse that are quite aggressive dementia. Then you get vascular dementia, frontal lobe dementia, similar to Lewy bodies disease, but it's, you know, it's again in a different sort of, slightly different. And I have vascular dementia twice in there. I think this is my first little video. Yeah. It works.
Let's talk about dementia. What is it? Well, there are two pieces that take place when somebody has dementia. There's structure changes and there's chemical changes. And the chemical changes happen first. The chemistry of your brain actually changes before the structure of your brain. What's going on is when dementia hits, it literally causes your brain cells, certain dementia, particularly Alzheimer's, it causes your brain cells to put out less chemicals. They can't produce as much acetylcholine. They're slowing down, they're being damaged internally, so their acetylcholine production, the chemical production is reduced. They don't put out as much. Then what starts happening is the structure starts being affected, and they literally start and shrinking. Now, a brain cell is very complex. It has a body and it has lots of arms and legs going on. There's axon and dendrite going on with it. And each axon has thousands of little tiny connections that reach out to the connections. And they almost touch another brain cell, but not quite. This area is where we exchange chemicals. I send chemicals and she gets them. So this is a synaptic connection. So my chemicals actually shoot out here and latch on to her, and then she gets excited and she can send a message to the next person. With Alzheimer's, particularly, what happens, I'm producing less chemicals and I'm actually shrinking and shriveling back. So I shoot chemical out, but it has a greater distance to go to get to the next brain cell synaptic connection. I'm also not producing it yet. Now let's say that my friend here, there were two synapses. And when I first started, it was real clear which synaptic junction I went to. But when I shrivel back, sometimes it might go there, but sometimes it might go over here. Now what's going to happen? On a good day, I know she's my daughter and I know why she's here and I know what I'm doing. On a bad day, who the hell is she? What's she doing in my house? I only have a 3-year-old. Because this is an old memory, and that's where the connection is. And it's not a choice I'm making, it's just the chemistry of the moment. And it's happening because the brain cell reaction.
You see how I just can't do it the way she does it. This is brilliant. Here's another one. Oh, this is the same. So the symptoms, I'm actually not going to go into too many details because Tipas now picks up on a lot of these things, and I'm just going to let her, go through it, and then we'll go back to the book and pick up on, the actual workbook. So chapter 1 is apply person-centered care approaches. So looking at the individual and to all the interactions with the person living with dementia, do a person-centered care. We've spoken about person-centered care. We're focusing on the actual individual themselves. So that would be the person with dementia, the people that are providing the care, and the on-job person-centered care, and the attitudes that different people have. So quite often in dementia, early stage dementia, it's the family that are, that on-the-job person. That's first until they just really can't manage anymore. And we'll get an old darling that, she's been at home with her husband for 5-10 years, and it comes to a place where he doesn't sleep at night anymore. He's falling over all the time, and she's just beside herself. And then, they give up and put them into care. And then the attitude that the family is struggling behind that quite often, the family have built up such a resentment towards that person because they've taken it personally. They think the person are doing it on purpose. And by the time they drop them off at the aged care facility, those relationships are quite vulnerable. It's quite a sad situation. So that's the type of attitudes that sit behind this disease. It's just so, horrendous, actually. This is another little DVD. Tipas now has an whole course.
And I want you to take these 3 fingers, which are the fingers of skill in a human being. This is what makes us skillful as human beings. Take these 2 fingers, button a button, zip a zipper, put your pen up to write. Anything you do is skill, manipulation. These 3 fingers are the fingers of manipulation. They allow you to take objects and manipulate them. They allow you to turn a page. They allow you to fold, to do all kinds of amazing things. These 3 fingers. There's what you use. These 3 fingers give you skill. 2 of them are not enough. If you use these 2, you can't do a whole lot. If you use these 2, you can do more, but you still can't do everything. If you do these 3, you can do a whole lot. But these, when you put them all together, you just take these When it comes to dementia, what I would say, when dementia hits a single person, it's inside one person's brain. And it's changing their brain. It's destroying their brain. It's killing them. It's killing your brain, and because your brain runs your body, it's going to kill your body. But this is just a shell that you live in. I mean, now it's an important shell, and this is how you get things to happen. Your eyes, your ears, your hands, your feet. When you put it all together, it's pretty effective as a package. But what makes it do what it does is this up here. But there's more to us than just our brains and our bodies. When we're people of faith, we believe there's more to it than that. And there's this space that I live in, but then there's this space that I live in. And I'm part of this bigger piece, this whole. And so because I am, this is just the definition of me, that when we're together, we become more. But each of us has within us this self that we have. And then there's this something that makes us more. And this, when it comes to dementia, we often have one person who's going to be the care person. And our relationship was one way. We helped each other, we came away from each other, we came together, we came apart. We did things, we have a relationship. But it's been a relationship, of choice. And now, it's starting to be forced. And it's starting to hurt and pinch sometimes because it doesn't feel right. It's not like it used to be. And sometimes I want to be a part, or sometimes you want to be a part, but sometimes it's hard for us to do that because I may need some help. So do this. Then we have this other person who's part of the relationship. And sometimes it's like this, but sometimes it's like that, and sometimes this, and sometimes this. But when it comes to faith communities, we have sometimes this. The person who has dementia, the person who's trying to help, and then the other. And the other is beyond us. The other is not of us. It's this other. Yeah. Now, do this. As my dementia grows, it gets harder and harder for this person and this person to see me as an equal partner. It gets easier and easier to see me as the one who's left and missing out and not getting it. And so the things that we tend to do in a faith community that bring us together and give us a sense of fellowship and belonging start to feel less and less like something of value to you than to this person. And so do this. You guys want to be together, but do this. You don't want me there. Because I start to see others. Wait a minute, there was already another. And what we sometimes have a hard time of sorting out is this person closer to the other than I am? Am I closer to the other than this person is? Or do we leave this other out? Well, that's not good then. Because where does the skill come from? By bringing them all together. And are they all equally important? Absolutely. Can they all come together? Yeah, but who's going to have to change once this happens? The others. We're going to have to make some shifts, some changes. And the hardest part for us is to do this. Continue to see this person as whole and complete. As the house falls apart and the brain can't do the things it used to do, but it's still whole and complete in our faith. And it gets really difficult when my behavior becomes a behavior we don't like in our faith, that we don't believe in, that I hit my daughter, that I swear in this location where we call a worship service, where I talk about things I shouldn't talk about and behave in ways I shouldn't behave. And it feels like, I should behave better than that. And the question is, can those others figure out how not to do this, to sit in judgment, but reach acceptance and appreciation and understanding of the why behind what's happening, and let that be separate from the person who I am that is whole. I'm still in here, but I'm so different. Not because I wanted it, but because the house is falling apart. And the unit that runs everything is coming to pieces.
So just about, person-centered. Look at the person now. Chapter 1.2, interpret the individualized plan and familiarize yourself with the specific needs of the person, the wants of the person that are living with dementia. So just on that chapter, just like we've learned to read the care plan. So the care plan will tell you quite a bit, and quite often in the care plan there will be a bit of history. A very good idea early stages of dementia to gather as much information as you can on the history of that person. Identify and address chapter 1.3, the person's needs for a stable and familiar environment. And then in chapter 3, there's a whole chapter, or there's a small section on restraint. But I want to spend a tiny bit of time on restraint. It's a very important issue because when people get dementia, they have that either flight or fight reactions. So when they're in this place of when they don't know what's going on and it's so confusing and they're so like frustrated with themselves, they're either going to fight you or they're going to want to run. And our response, and our best response up to date, was restraint. Give them a tablet, calm them down, or tie them down, lock them up. So it's a big issue in dementia, and it's an even bigger issue now with the new HK standards where they're saying we can't use restraint anymore. So when somebody comes for you and they want to fight you because something's going on in their lives and their brain that they can't figure out, and you just in the way, you just happen to be there. It's not personal. It sometimes feels personal because they're coming for you, but it's not personal. Then, you're the one that cop it. You're the one that gets smacked. And if you can't call on the RN to say, please can you come and give this person a Valium or, something, then what do we do? How do we deal with it? If you have somebody that just wants to flight, they just want to run away, they just want to go, they think if they can go, they can get away from it, and they just go and go, and they do these circuits, it's non-stop. And what happens? They fall all the time. As they go faster than what their body actually can deal with going, and they just keep falling over. And you keep picking them up. Then they're lying down in the bush. Then it's just, and the most horrendous falls you get all the time. And what is our response? Let's put them in a chair and tie them up, strap them up. That's been the way we've been dealing with. So with the restraint policy that's coming, and understanding what is a restraint, that it's a practice of intentionally restricting somebody and their movement, their behavior for their benefit. Because you're thinking, oh, they're going to harm themselves, they're going to harm somebody else. They're coming for you. Maybe I can take a sip. But they're in a home with a couple of older people that's older than them. You get a couple of real old, frail darlings in there as well. And they're coming, and it's a man, he's 65, he's quite big and strong still, and he's, wanting to fight, and the poor old darling couplet, and if she falls, she breaks her hip, she could die. So you're trying to protect her as well, and you're in this scenario, you don't know which way to go. And so your reaction is you have this duty of care to protect them from getting hurt. You're trying to protect your other clients from getting hurt. You're trying to, and you're trying to protect yourself as well. So, so there's no harm coming to somebody. Then, we reach for restraints. In HK settings, has been cited as a means of preventing falls, stopping them from wandering or scoring, even locking doors, locking them in, making them feel trapped like a little mouse in a cage, they feel like that. with poor health, dementia, mental health conditions, or physical disability. However, restraint in aged care has been linked to poor outcomes. So when should restraint not be used? It's important to limit the use of restraint as much as possible, with the exception of emergency situations. Restraint should never be used as a therapeutic intervention, as a response to boredom, as a response to illness, as a response to anxiety or distress, to compensate for staff shortages. You know, we're just not enough to watch them. As a substitute for restrictive alternatives, as punishment or as rape, or because it's convenient to us. You know. When there's a restraint policy, impacts on the person. It has a huge impact. I told you, when you put a bedside up and they want to get out, they're going to get out, and they're going to get hurt even more so if they try to get out from there. So not aside from them getting hurt, cuts and bruises and strains and sprains and pressure injuries, and you know, there's the incontinence because they're sitting, they can't go, they're sitting in their own feces, their own urine. Then there's the emotional consequences. They lose the dignity they got in the behavior stuff because they have been feeling trapped. Depression and anxiety. So those are the things that, you know, with restraint. So just remember that. And when you go into a facility, when somebody has some restraint on that, it's the HK standards or the HK requirements really, really tough now. You have to do an hourly visible check on that person. So if they are in a bed with got side up, or they're sitting in one of these evolution chairs that have a tray that's in front of them, if they have been, the family have finally signed a restraint order for that person, and they're stuck in there, you have to watch them. You have to constantly make reports on that, and it's so much paperwork. So most of the care homes now have gone away with restraints. So they rather deal with restraints in the sense of, you know, like get a high-lower bed, or if the person then wants to run, they have to run. You can't, they would just say, well, you can't wrap them up in cotton wool, you know, you just have to let them go, and then just deal. That's where staffing issues is a big problem. So we're trying to always say, well, watch them. You know, if you know somebody's going, well, I've had that, we've had an old boy that he just felt so much that we would be standing there watching him, trying to stop him when he would fall, you know, while you're there. Or you would be sitting there feeding somebody else and he's right behind you in the chair. Next minute you look back, he's on the floor, he's fallen out of the chair. It just happens so quickly. You just, you know, even if you have people watching, you can't prevent it sometimes. So, and then with the chemical restraints, I just pause on this a sec because, you know, it's going to be a great frustration for you. You're going to see this is one of the biggest issues you get in caring for people with dementia is behavior, managing behaviors. And one of the best answers so far we've had was chemical restraints. So where people get a Valium, or they get a risperidone, or they get a Seropex, or whatever, a drug to calm them down. And the government's come very harshly down on that as well. The doctors are very reluctant to do it now. So guess what? Who's copying it? We are. And it's very, very challenging. I don't know. There's no real answer. There's no real answer. These things happen so quickly as well. You can't always predict getting slapped. You can't always predict that that person's going to act out. So if there's no way of calming them down, you know, we are the ones that are going to cop it. It's very, very challenging situation to be in. So chapter 1.4, recognizing signs consistent with financial, physical, emotional abuse, neglect of the person that and reported to an appropriate person. We've gone through abuse, we're going to go through abuse. There's a big section in your workbook on abuse as well, so I'm not going to take too much time on that. Just going to pause on mandatory reporting. Again, it's so essential for you to remember that quite often when people are demented and they're in a, there's a couple, there's so much strain between them because of how it's, you know, the time you haven't been there the last 10 years. You haven't seen what the partner's gone through. Quite often we stand on the sideline and we judge the couple. Oh, this is the way you treat your wife. This is the way. But we were not there. We don't know. But quite often there's abuse. And abuse still is abuse. And it's never okay. It doesn't matter. You know, it's never okay. And when there's sexual abuse, when there's, and I've had a client that abused his wife. She was demented and she was not able to, you know, move him anymore. She was sort of had full assistance, going up lifter and stuff. We moved her, we showered and stuff. But we used to find her quite often where she was quite bruised on her genitals, where her husband has forced himself on her. So, you know, it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know what, I left that facility before I think it was dealt with. But it is a mandatory report now, even if it is a couple. You know, it's still not okay. So, and a mandatory report means that the police will get involved and come and investigate it. I just heard 2 or 3 days ago about a man that had a drug psychosis where he's beaten somebody to death with a branch, a tree branch somewhere. And he's actually, he's admitted into facility, but he's not being sent to jail because of the psychosis. So he's not held responsible for his behavior. And I've said this quite often, you know, if a person with dementia is not held responsible for their behavior, for hurting other people, because they do, some of them do, it can be a really, really nasty situation. But you go, oh no, they demented. I've had this situation, I might have told you about him. He was an old publican. He had a bar, I think, in the running somewhere. And he was quite a character, but he was also a footy player. He actually played nationally. He was, I think, played for Australia rugby. And he had 6 sisters. He was very loved. He was quite a character. But he used to go around slapping women. Just, you know, his wife was appalled by it. He never did that to her, but he started doing that in the older show. And he would just go off and, you know, walk past somebody and they irritate them and he would just slap them. And sometimes he would even give them the fist. He never did that to staff. He would just do that with the other old ladies in the home. Slap them on the face or no, in the face. And the one day he was out in the courtyard. So we have like a courtyard in the middle of in Whitehaven, the area where I work, and then we have a courtyard in the front where there's a 6-foot fence around like a wall. But you can see over the wall and there's houses in the front there. And across the road, a policeman's wife was watching this little boy in the courtyard and he slapped one of our darlings there. And she called the husband. And then the police came, and we were all on duty, and yeah, the police arrived. They actually locked him in the police car. Yeah, because by then he had slapped 3 ladies in the same day. So, and we kept doing reports. The one he actually gave a fist on the chin, so she had bruising on her chin. And the lady who he slapped out in the courtyard, she was a tiny, frail old darling. She was not even a threat to anyone, you know, really. She was the loveliest little thing. But at the end, he landed up in mental health for quite a while because we just couldn't deal with him. We couldn't have him in amongst these other vulnerable people. And he came back and he was put in another area where they a little bit more less talking dementia, where people are more further advanced and they sort of sit down and they sort of disengage. And they actually restrained him for the rest of his life until he passed away. He was restrained in a evolution chair. The evolution chair is it's a big couchy chair, a big loungy chair, but it has it can tilt completely back, and the legs of feet can come up, and it's got sides on the you know. It's a little bit more restricted than the actual actual recliner. It's more you know, fail to have a proper description, but you'll see them once you get out there. There's quite a few of them. They have inflatable seating as well, so they put some air in it from the bottom, and it's got yeah. Anyway, it's a hospital chair really that and it is used as a form of restraint because you can't get out of it. Once you tilt it back, it's tilted back in such a way that your feet is higher than your bum, so you're sort of stuck in it. You can't get yourself up from it. So yeah, it's quite sad. But he was then restrained in that until he passed away. So, yeah, because of his behavior, continuous behavior, and other family members complaining. It wasn't about us, it was about the safety of the other people in the home. Yeah, he slept, and that's where he spent the rest of his days until he passed away. And he was so lovely. You know what? He used to come around to the dining room and put all the chairs on the tables in the evening when it's finished. He never used to sit down and eat with anyone. He would stand at the counter and eat. Because as a publican, you don't go sit down with your clients, you know, or your customers. He would stand there at the counter and eat, and then he would go again. So he had both those things of flighting and fighting, you know, he had both those issues. So, yeah, so they has those, you know, things that it's involuntary. He doesn't mean to. People irritate him. It's not, he just can't control it. He couldn't take a joke. If you tease him or joke him, he gets angry with you. So you just couldn't, comprehend that. So using appropriate communication strategies, this is chapter 2. Use verbal and non-verbal communication strategies to maximize engagement of the person with dementia. And there's another video. That's starting.
So with this disease, we know that with your 5 senses, you're going to change in your visual abilities, your auditory processing abilities, but not your ability to hear sound. Your sensation and your movement, what you feel and what you do, what you smell, and then what you taste, all of those are going to change. And you lose safety awareness before you lose curiosity. With vision, the field is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's particularly important for us to recognize when a person's in early stages of dementia, they're a diamond. And in other words, these are Allen levels. And what we're talking about here is they have vision that's like a scuba mask. They lost the sides and the top, but the center's pretty good. When they go from that to having binoculars, there's a really important difference. Because when you have a scuba mask, what you're going to be able to do is see the plate in front of you and the person across the table. Once you develop binocular vision, you can either look across the table or look at the plate down in front of you. You can't do both at the same time. It's one or the other. You have social vision or you have a task vision. And every time you switch, you have to readjust everything. So if I'm looking and talking at you, I don't realize something's going on right here. And if I'm looking down like this, I don't realize there's anything out there. And after that, it gets even worse. Because now I look at objects and I don't know how to use them. I don't know what they're for. I see it, but I have a hard time identifying what it is and then what you do with it. So I have apraxia. And then I have to figure out, now how do I get started with this? I have to remember the sequence in the organization. So I pick this thing up, and I may know it's a fork, but then how do you use a fork? How do you hold a fork? How do you manipulate it? And how do you pick things up? And which things do you use a fork for, and which do you use a spoon for? It gets complicated. And then comes the time when I can't get my 2 images to line up, and my brain decides, well, okay, we'll just pay attention to one, so I become non-clear. I lose all depth perception. And it's amazing how quickly you can get yourself into trouble, because when you have just one eye looking about, if you were to do this, look at your index finger, and then track your index finger down to touch something on the floor. What you're going to realize is you don't have a sense of how far away that is. And if you're relying on your feet and your legs and the muscles to organize things, they get tricked, because what they're relying on is the visual information to make adjustments, which means you're very at risk for falls.
So I just wanted to just add on this. The reason why some of the things that some of the slides of hers are, I suppose, religious, is because they recorded in settings where she doesn't talk to people. Her material is very, very expensive. So the actual materials go on to online. I bought some time ago. I bought some of the material and I thought $95. Yay, it's nice and cheap. I'll buy this one. I bought it, and once it came, it didn't have the video. It only had paper. And then they said, no, I need to pay another $100 and something for the video as well. And that was on behaviors of concern. So material is extremely expensive. It's really, really Good Shepherd Lodge bought the whole series, which is I think 21 DVDs, and it cost him like $2,000 or $3,000. So the material is really, really expensive. So some of these recordings, the short recordings where she talks is like introductions to stuff. And the other ones where it's a bit longer is where she's done it in a social setting and she couldn't control anyone recording her. And they are the ones that we able to, pick up on. So just so you understand why she's not necessarily in her presentations generally, she's not coming from that perspective. So communication tips for people with caregivers, tips for dementia caregivers. To routinely minimize the distractions by providing eye contact, constant reminders, touching, direct statements, gain cooperation and provide reassurance using a reality orientation, reminding them of the time of the day, the relationship and occasion, reassurance with words and phrases and body language as appropriate to the individual. As she was saying, because a lot of their senses are affected. So it's important to come in front of them when you're talking to them. Come quite close to them. When you touch them so they can see you touching them, not unexpectedly. Be prepared. Like I was slapped by an old boy. No indication whatsoever. We took him to the bedroom and we said, "Oh, do you want to go to the bathroom?" He said, "Yes." We walked into the bathroom. Once we got into the bathroom, we sat him down on the toilet and he had messed everything, so I had to take his pants off. And I went down and now I understand. Then I didn't even understand it. I went down on my knees to take his shoes off, and while he was sitting on the toilet and pull the pants off. But he obviously did not see me down there. And he did not know what I was doing. And I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. So instead, I should have just gained his attention and made him look at me so he can see what I was doing. So and on top of it, there's two of us, and we do this all the time. You'll see that now soon. We go in, there's two of us. You do the top while I do the bottom because we've only got 15 minutes and we have to be out of here. So top of it, Leanne was up there. She was busy taking his shirt off, and I'm down here at his feet trying to take his shoes off and pull his pants off. So while I'm pulling on his pants, he went to take the slap up here, and he slapped me in the back of my neck because I was down there, and it just came. What? My neck was sore for weeks after, and it just came out of the blue because obviously he must have just felt, what the heck is this, not realizing this is the person down at his feet. It's just things like that is gaining their attention, making sure. He's done that too. Oh man, he's passed away as well now, but he used to fight us all the time. He was a real fighter. So there's another cheaper one.
retain on the right. You go loose on the left, retain on the right. So here are your 4 rhythm skills you do +1. This one's special. Number 1, automatic social chit chat. So keep the automatic social chit chat. Because that's your hey, sweetheart, how are you doing? And okay, good, how's the family? Good to see you. Oh, you look great. Take care, okay? You like it? Chit chat. Automatic chit chat. And so it makes them being in a social situation. I'm gonna be fine. And so everybody says, I don't have to worry about it. That's great. Spend it though. Spend it. I stay in my house. Because once we get past this, it is a surface chit chat. The thing is missing is the depth. I can't do the depth. I can do the chit chat. It's still there. It will be there for a long time. Even later disease. I love it. Yeah, you got a nice thing. That's good. Everybody have a good thing. Oh, I got that. Now, I thought everybody come this way. Are you super? Remember I said there was a special skill over here? I did show it to you. What it is, stick your thumb out. The special skill are forbidden words. Your vocabulary that you're not allowed to use in public is stored over on the right-hand side. Now, there are 4 categories. Swear words, sex talk. And the first time as a little kid, you said, Mommy, what's a penis? And she said, shh, we weren't. That's fine, but let's take out this. Well, I don't have a penis. Mommy has a penis. Keep up. Here's the deal. I'll tell you in the car. Why can't we talk about it here? Because there's rules about penises, so we talk about them in private. Why? Look at the special word. Let me put it over here. So we have swear words, we have sex talk. Ooh, here's a bad one. That's just one. Ugly words for other groups, other categories of people that we don't trust, like, want to be around. Racial. Oh yeah. And bad news about race? Here's one. Bad news bears. Because I lost all my good words. And what I have left is an accident. And then the last one, ugly words. Shut up, you're an idiot. Stupid. So, retarded. Preserved. Those are preserved in almost all grades you have to know. And the reason we think they are is because how they get used routinely. They are used for a particular reason. I'll tell you. So we have normal chit chat. Second skill that I have, this is really important. Do this. Rhythm. I've got rhythm. I can hear it and I can get it. I still get the rhythm of speech and I can give the rhythm of speech. Even when I have no contact. I love that I have it. And I didn't get it. And we're going, holly on the head. Hi, Daddy. Hey, we gotta get together. Yeah, you gotta get it. And you gotta, oh, there's gonna have that. I like it. Yeah, yellow no. We're gonna get it together. Down. We're gonna get it together. You got that too. Now imagine I'm at church. And I'm a judge's wife. Our society is so not tuned into this that we do this. As soon as we hear that, I think, we know better than that. And what I'm going to tell you is you need to educate everybody. You know what? It's not about knowing better than that. It's what I have learned. It's a skill. Unfortunately, it's not just rhythm. It's the forbidden words, too. And I don't have, oh, you look nothing for that after the years. I actually did some of that. But then I wanted to say more. When I went to say more, you have nice food. It might have been he was really nice in that outfit, but that's gone. I couldn't put all that out there. Nice outfit, yeah, nice food. Not that one. And what I don't realize is where I shouldn't wear a shoe. That's part's gone, but I know the word. Now, get me off that. So I give rhythm, but I also get rhythm. Not necessarily content, because that is vocabulary comprehension of speech. Do you speak English?
It's a language. Dementia is a language.
Early
believe
in
me.
this disease, people will miss 1 out of 4 words. How long before you got off? Early in this, people will miss out of 4 words. How before you got? How is it just every 4th word? And it's amazing how quickly you lose the brain. And so what they do is called speaking off on a tangent. They have tangential speech because they're trying to follow along, but they get lost pretty easily even early on because they're missing on average to what you do 1 out of 4. And if the 1 out of 4 you're missing is a contact word, like a noun, and you miscomprehended the noun, you are way off base. And so then the person looks at you like, what are you talking about? It's because we're not actually connecting up. We're missing each other because I think I'm getting it. I don't know what I don't know. It's not like I'm doing it on purpose. I just missed this. And it's just rhythm thing. So my brain says you're getting it. So let me give you another thing which we did. This is early in certain dementia that is called primary progressive aphasia. Particular type of dementia. And this particular type of dementia, affluent period, not non-fluent. I'll show you non-fluent today. You'll pick up on it. But listen, do you know that the articulation of that phenomenon, that is the one that many people find to be particularly articulated. And that's the one I wanted to point out. When you find that articulation occurring, that is the one that you will want to precipitate. And the precipitation will result in a phenomenological event that you are looking to actually have the thing be the one that you want to predict. Well, I absolutely find that to be fascinating. Do you not find that articulation to be something that we should be participating in? Now, if I'm just crossing the great red ocean, I hope I did not sign up for something I don't want to do. Now, I want to point out, when I did that, how hard you found your brain to work. Your brain to work. Your parent, no, wait, okay, wait a minute. Oh, there was a word. Oh, I recognize that. Your brain is struggling because you hear all these words into your mind. Like, you can feel your face and go, oh, what is she talking about? But it feels like it should make sense because I have great rhythm. And so you found yourself looking at me very closely. All of you are watching me really closely. Can you? Okay, I'll be able to figure this out. So get to a point where it all makes sense. It's not like going to the doctor's office when he says, well, now what we're going to do is we're going to have to adjust your range of motion because what you have a muscle infection. The muscle infection is going to result in some nerve pain. You want to be careful that you don't really cause that articulated joint. You're like, so what is it I'm supposed to do? And so you're looking for a translation. The challenge here is I've got this beautiful rhythm. I have absolutely no contact. And about 9 out of 10 times, I won't know that I'm not making sense. I think that I'm still sharing content of value. And when you act like I'm not making sense, and you give me feedback that says, I don't understand this, I get frustrated. Because I don't understand how could you not get this? I mean, I'm being exposed by how I'm really great content. You've got to watch really carefully. I want you to look at the person. I want one person to say, and you know the phenomenological event that we're looking at. That's the one that's going to articulate it. And I want the other person to go, what are you talking about? And I want you to really look puzzled. And I want you to know, I want you to give a good, strong visual cue. You are making no sense whatsoever. Why using words I can understand? I want you to actually stand in front of a person and do that kind of reaction. Now I'm going to tell you, you're going to see a variety of reactions on my part. If I think you're really stupid because I can't figure out, I didn't know that I was making mistakes. I didn't have awareness. What's the most likely reaction I can answer you? How stupid are you? What are you, an idiot? Now this thing kicks in. And I want to be with my partner from now on. I don't want to get separated from my safety. Because if I don't have a person who can speak for me, I'm weak. And so now I get panicky anytime this primary is out of my sight. I want them to be right where I can see them because they speak for me. And if I don't know where to get them, and you say, I'm just going to run, no, please don't do that. Because this is where I'll latch on to those, because understanding is so critical in our environment, in our world. If I don't have a way to connect, I literally become so panicked I can't function, and I will have panic attacks because I'm separated. Because I'm so scared that I won't know how to get to it. I know that I can't. So this is that moment of real distress, and it really is horrible. It's beyond horrible. In my whole life, I've been a teacher, a talker, a lawyer, a teacher, a secretary. I've used words to connect, to communicate, and now I have them, and I know it. And I know that when I try, I don't make any sense. And so many people, they have rumor, they don't have content. And what we do is see what they can't do, instead of go to the side where they have strength, and work from the side which they change. And we make them feel as confident because they feel something from. And that third group, the strong folks. All of these things every single one of you. Now, what's my reputation like? Every time you approach me, I'm mean. I seem to. What I do is I have to do. I'm so scared. I do not want to put myself out there. So I write words down. I write notes what I'm going to say, and then I get there and try to, and I fall apart, and I go to those humble words because they are the time. So I often say things, or I just hop on as you don't have to do it. It's so tempting. Okay? So, rhythm of speech. But I get rhythm of speech too. This is what we mean. I get rhythm of speech. So, I may not. Yeah. Yeah. Now, you may say, I heard on that. You don't understand? Okay, then I. What? And what we're going to do, and we are not, okay? You doing that? Okay, turn around on that. Okay, that's what we're going to do. Okay, make it out, right? Yeah. And you don't hang on, do that. No, I ain't going to come. I like that. You want to do it, right? All right, yeah. Do that. Okay, all right, ready? Okay, all right, okay, ready to go. Now, let me ask you something. You thought I was the person with the message, didn't you? Yeah. I'm your caregiver. You have moderate to severe dementia. What did you get? All the rhythm of my speech. You can tell exactly when I was asking you a question by the rhythm. And you were supposed to answer. And then I gave you visual cues about the answer I wanted to hear. I nodded when I wanted to. I gave you a really good visual. These are all automatic side of the head. And so I got you to say what I wanted you to say. But what I didn't realize is you never comprehended anything like that. Now, what I want to point out is that all I did, just so you'll know, I'm going to give you the cues, and now I'm going to be able to understand you better. All I did was lay my tone down so I didn't articulate really clearly. So I robbed you of confidence and left the vowels. Hey, can I hang out? Okay? I'm going to give you a shower, okay? Okay? All right? Now you're not going to see how you're starting to understand my language now? Because once I tell you what this is, your brains are incredible. They are so good at comprehension. They went and they found the distribution and they're putting the puzzle back together because yours is half. And now you're curious. Now, I got you. what did I do? Like, no. That's why I got it. One day, a totally different thing else. That's what I like about you, because one day is totally different than the other. Okay? All right, so, you know, yeah, hang on, okay? Yeah, okay, are you ready? Now, in this scenario, let me be very clear as far as comprehension went. What was the first sensation that was really clear to him what I was going to do? When I touched him. And to his mind, this was just a social interaction. He had no idea this was going beyond social stuff. He thought I was chit-chatting with him, having a lovely time. He didn't comprehend, but he seemed to me that he was being very friendly. I was being very nice. I was going, ready, yes, and he said yes, and then so this is straight across the head. Turn and face him. I want you to make sure you're facing him so that you get a sense of how horrible this is really. Stay right here. Okay, now turn and face. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at them and smile, and then look down at their shirt and realize they have a great big wad opening right there. Uh-oh. It's a really nasty wad. Give me excuse. And what I want you to do is the classic figure. Okay? Now let's be great and smile at him. Okay, now here's the new piece. All right, here's the new piece I'm going to give you. Remember I said vision changes? What they lose is the edge, peripheral awareness, and their visual field gets smaller and smaller and smaller because they keep curiosity, which is your center field, and they lose the edge, which is safety. So their visual field gets smaller and smaller. So by this point in the disease, at best, do this, put on binoculars. This is how much of the world they can pay attention to at a time. And when you're right in front of them like that, what part of you have you asked them to pay attention to? Your face. And so they're watching your face. So person with dementia, put on your binoculars. Person who's helping, grin and smile and say, oh my God, okay? And now, make sure you've got it and check them up, and now reach out to their shirt. What do you realize for the very first time? They can't see you coming. They have no idea you're about to make contact with your shirt because they think you're being social. There's a vision loss and a change in comprehension. This touch came out of nowhere. They were totally not expecting it. Try this. We're going to really work on these skills this afternoon, but I want you to try this. Put that on. Yes. Oh. Here. Perfect. Try that with your partner and see how that feels. It's important, all of you I'm watching, point to yourself first, look down at your own point, and then look at theirs and point. Don't reach out and put your hand on it right away. You cue where they can see. And then you do the motion, and then you point to theirs. It's a two-step. All right. So, we have 2 language skills left to go over here before we take our break. It's almost lunchtime, so I gotta hurry up. There's lots more to learn. We're gonna learn a lot more of the skills this afternoon. I'm gonna wrap this up. Over here, what's over here that's starting to be gone? So, what is it? Vocabulary, comprehension, speech production. Losing the skill. What are we keeping? The strength over here. Automatic social chit-chat, the rhythm of speech. This is the gift. This is the blessing. This is the thing you want to hook into because it's a retained skill for about 98% of humans who develop any form of dementia. Music, poetry, prayer, rhythm. Music, poetry, they will be able to sing, they cannot speak. They will be able to sing, they will be able to do prayer, even full familiar prayer. So in this group, I'm betting that a majority of folks Lord is my, why is it the Lord is my shepherd? Because it's 20, it's what we do when we're in times of emotional need and it's strongly moved in. This thing, this rhythm, this music, this poetry, this prayer is hooked into the emotional center. It's our, this is the gift that we have and that they have, and this is the way we connect with one another. If we learn to use that gift, many of you by now have started to notice that when I speak with a lot of rhythm. I use rhythm and pauses in my speech, combined with incredible amounts of visual cues to emphasize the message so that I have a chance of getting through. Now, it doesn't mean you get louder, it means you get richer and smoother and fuller and deeper with your cues. But this is the gift. The problem is, we forget it again. We're all worried about what they do, not what they see. And here's the really cool part. When you do that, often it lights this up. Because there is wiring from side to side. And when I use what they can do, the wiring lights up and suddenly there's a short period of time and people can speak more clearly and understand what they're saying. And this is the way we listen. We use what they show us. And the last little one on me, another strength, is I move this thing. So I can dance better than I can walk. I'm walking barely moving with the walk. You put a, I got rid of, and all of a sudden and you're like, seriously? I can also do this one. Watch what happens again. Why didn't you repeat it? Because that's not what happens. You have to finish off the rhythm. Did you have to finish it off? So what if I go? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can help you stand up better. I can help you sit down better. Because what I'm doing is giving you that rhythm and anticipatory what's the next thing. Now you have to be careful I didn't get it. You might have to do it a couple of times, you know, to break it down a little bit more, but learning how to use what I have. Remember, I got this one too. What makes me do this one is when you get my limbic system all straight up. That's the thing you gotta understand. It makes me angry, you're scared, you do anything that startles you. Because the kids is working, the first is learning something. When you're 2 to 7 years old, just someone to hear words. Everybody in this room, somebody from 2 to 7, you learned the first one. You came home and something off. Yes. And your mom went, what? You went, yes. And your mom said, where did you do that? Who told you that, Don? Well, we don't use words like that. I never want to do so much about that because I'm going to tell you something. I ever did use that word because you want to use so much trouble with it. You understand me? Now you're looking real sad. Your brain's like, oh, and word, that's word. This is not cool. This is a word. But that's a reaction. But what he said is, they're not with this regular vocabulary. They don't want to do this in front of mom. Yeah, this is a problem. And then we'll lose the word. There's a special word. Where can I put it? Where can I put it? Where can I store it? Where I can have it? I want it, need it at some point. I know I'll put it in the rhythm section. They start your storage unit. You have square words, sex words, racial slurs, good words, all stored in it. Now what they found out is this is one. You're in a parking lot all by yourself, no one's around. You have to slam your fingers in the car door. 9 out of 10 of you will do the following. Ready? Slam! Stick. You do the little stick dance. There's a dance. There's a little dance and there's a flinging of the hand that goes with it. And you say the word shit. And you say it with emphasis. Shit. Now what happens when you do that? Quickly in your brain. Your brain drops cortisol level and releases endorphins. Stress relief, pain reduction. Yeah. That's where they come in handy. You've got to save them for special occasions. So they have them get that out. So here's my anticipation with the next generation. Here's That's really important for you to hold those suckers back. What does that mean? Well, when you get the next thing said, you get one. Those kids are going to learn those words anyway. Let's not separate them from our elders. And let's not make this a disease of isolation simply because of what I have left. What you want to do is learn to use what we do have that has value. That's what we're going to do this afternoon. What I wanted to do this morning is separate out myth from reality about what is this thing called medicine? And why is this here? Well, because it looks sort of like language, but it's not. And then when we do see it, sometimes we don't recognize it for what it is. And what we keep recognizing is what they're losing, but we miss some of that. And for sure, miss what they still have. So this afternoon is going to be all about building your skill set. When we look more deeply into the brain and understand everything that's gone, everything that's back. Okay?
Right, let's go have a break.
I really love that.
Yeah, she's really good. Hey, I cannot do what she does. Honestly, she's just so good. I would love to go to America and take a course to become a personal educator. I really would love to go for a week and learn from her how to do it. So let's take a break.
That is true though, like when the kids do swear, you're going to say, oh,
And once you've worked in dementia, you'll see all these things come alive. Hey, we had one old boy used to walk around the whole day.
Are you right-handed? I need to be on the dominant side of the individual because that's where they have motor memory for doing all kinds of tasks. They don't know how to use their other hand nearly as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on this side. Now, hold hands like you normally hold hands. Shake hands like you normally shake hands. Go ahead and shake somebody's hand. And realize there's nothing real comfortable about that. I mean, once you shake hands, then it's like, okay, let go. And what we can end up with is a tug of war. Or late in the disease, people with dementia often like a lot of contact, and they'll squeeze you and actually hurt you, and it's like, ow, 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 ow. And where are you going to grab to get them loose? On the wrist, and what you're going to do is bruise them again. Shake hands, but then immediately slide up around so that what you're doing is holding on palm to palm, thumb to thumb, and you've got a lot of palm contact. Try that with your partner. And then turn it so their hand is on top of yours, so just relax the hand so that it's very clear, it's relaxed. What you're doing is you're putting pressure in the palm, and pressure in a human being's palm calms them down. So what you're actually doing is helping the calm them, even while we're doing this, because I'm getting the transfer into the sensory system. Okay? The other thing that I can do is take the other hand and lay it on top of the hand. And what I'm creating is artificial warmth and padding. What are they missing? Warmth and padding. So all of a sudden we're feeling more comfortable. Now there's a big difference between me being down here where she can see me, because remember the visual field problems? What happens if I'm up here? Yeah, and what if I face her like this? What she's going to start to do is mess with me here. Or she doesn't realize what I'm doing, and it feels to her like I'm bossing her around. So I want to either sit down or get down so I'm at her level and she can really look at me. The other thing I can do by applying just a little bit of pressure, she'll automatically look, and now I can talk to her. I'm going to help you get washed up. Okay? Good. Let's take the shirt off. There you go. Now, that's a little less distressing because she understood what I was doing by being to the side and having a single person in the room. And I'm not being loud, I'm not being noisy. What else do you think we need to think about doing in the room? Given that she doesn't have any insulation and I'm about to have her come out of her shirt. Get it really warm. Who's going to need to be sweaty? Me. I need to be hot so that when she comes out of the shirt, she's not uncomfortable. Because if she is uncomfortable, is she going to want to take more clothing off? No, because she's cold. Here's the next thing we're going to do. I'm going to take a warm towel fresh out of the dryer and drape it around her shoulders. Now, when I do that, what happens to her exposure in the front? She's covered, she's modest, but what can also happen, she's warmer. Then what I can do is wet her through the towel. I don't even need to take the bra or the underthings off yet. Let her keep some modesty, because once you get your clothing wet, what do you think most people want to do? Take it off. And if I haven't had a battle up to now it makes sense to take those off. Okay? Here's the other place I want to put a towel. Across the lap. Why? That's the other modest place, and that's another place that's real sensitive.
So, using a range of validation strategies to relieve the stress and agitation. So this is all about not making them angry, you know, different ways. And that hand one is really helpful, even feeding them. By holding their, if you got their hands like this and you then unback my clothes, it doesn't feel like you doing it. It also feels like by doing it themselves, if you're feeding them and you using the hand, it feels like they're feeding themselves. Because, you know, you're doing the motion, but their hands doing the motion too. So it's kind of, otherwise you get these, you know, they don't want to bath, they don't want to do anything there. You have this aggression and you have this battle with duty of care versus them not, you know, having the, being able to get them clean and things like that. So the, you know, different things that they do, they withdraw, they have depression, they rummage, they wander. They provide activities to maintain this dignity, skills, and their health. Organize activities which aim to maintain independence using familiar routines and existing skills. So remember the skills she's talking about, the music, the rhythm, and those skills. Another one.
Does it matter if you're left or right-handed?
No, your left brain always stores your speech, and your right brain, that's your right brain's your creative side. Your left brain's always analytical. So it's like, doesn't matter whether, it will matter for which, when you are left-handed, perhaps you might be better at, you know, writing speeches in, you know, if you're not demented or you haven't got a disease, you might be stronger in that. That's just because they want to both touch your face when they're lying next to you. No, I don't think that really, it's just, yeah, that's not really a...
Hi, I'm Tika Snow. I'm a dementia care consultant and a trainer. I have over 30+ years as an occupational therapist. My goal, my purpose, is to help people who are trying to care for somebody who has dementia. Dementia's tough. You need to learn more about it and learn what it does and what it doesn't do and what it's going to mean for you. 4 out of 5 families will fall apart. Because this is a challenge and only 1 out of 5 will stay together. And it's mostly because everything changes when you have dementia. It's not just about memory, and it's not just about one thing, and it's not stable, and it's not static, and once it happens, it hasn't happened until you're done. It keeps changing. Now what that means, if you're smart, and if you're wise, you start from the very beginning realizing this is a journey. You're going to be on a journey. And when you start a journey, if you're thinking it's just going to be a little short one, a little sprint, we don't plan very well. Try not to do the one major thing, go off on your own and just do the best you can, because before this is over, you're going to be out of juice, you're going to be out of gas. And there are things that are available, but you need to know that before you need them. Because when you need them, you don't have the energy or the ability even at that point to run and get them. I also would tell you there's lots of skills you can do. It's more than just who you know, it's what you know, and how you do what you do becomes incredibly important. And nobody is necessarily born with these talents, and you don't even get that information with the diagnosis. So you want to find out what's out there, because what's out there makes a difference. I would say one of the most important things to do as a caregiver is to put being a caregiver and become a care partner. With a spoon, that the person you're trying to help is going to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And the more you try to push your help at them, the more they're going to push back. It's important to go, oh, well, this isn't working. And recognize, let me think of something else, or if I can't think of something else, let me go and find out something else. So my message to you, there are things out there. Find out what your resources are and where to go get them. You don't have to go somewhere physically, but you do have to go somewhere mentally. You have to be willing to make a trip. And that means stop, pause. And here's the most important skill I can give you in the short range. Learn the art of letting it go. You can hold it all in. It won't change anything. Learn to breathe. Take a moment and let it.
It works for child raising as well. Organize activities that's appropriate to this individual, reflecting their cultural likes and dislikes in order to bring pleasurable memories. So some meaningful activities.
Someone living with dementia still needs to fill the day. Our problem, our difficulty as care partners is how do we help them do that? How do we figure out how to make the day meaningful? Not just for them, but also for us, because we still are living our lives too. So it sort of helps to think about, well, what goes into a meaningful life? And what I tell you is there are 4 categories of activities. The first one is feeling productive, valued, doing work. Now, it may be that you get paid for it, or maybe it's just people say thank you, but it gives you a sense that I make a difference, that who I am and how I am and what I can do still has value for people. And this is really critical for my sense of well-being and self. It's part of what makes us feel like human being that is cared about by somebody else, and that I'm still here for a reason, and the reason matters. Now, the second type of activity that we all do is called leisure or fun, play. Things that you do because they're fun to do. You do them because they give you joy, because they make you feel good. You're not going to get anything out of them financially or maybe even feedback-wise. You like it because you like it. There's something about it that bumps your energy level, that gives you that, yeah. You find that doing it is pleasurable in and of itself. And to be honest, it comes in 2 major categories. Passive, it just sort of happens to you and you're absorbing it, so it's coming in. Or active, you're doing something that gets you to feel that way. And an example would be watching something versus actively choosing to engage in something. So I could watch a game of cards, or I could play a game of cards. 2 different ways to find joy, and who you are sort of may drive a little bit of which of those you like better. But you want some of each in who you are. All of us have some of each. Now, the third category of activities, what do we do with our time? How do we fill our time? Has to do with self-care, taking care of ourselves, taking care of our body, taking care of our brain, taking care of the place we live, taking care of business. So it means things like, for instance, getting around in the world, transportation. It includes things as simple as walking, getting in and out of chairs, and as complicated as figuring out a bus system or how to get on an airplane and then transfer. So self-care is big and it's little. It includes things like taking care of your own body, bathing, showering, or eating, toileting, grooming. But it also includes things like taking care of your body, exercise, and taking care of your brain, thinking, doing things that are fun and interesting to your brain, So you stimulate your brain. And additionally, it includes taking care of the world around you. Maybe cleaning up the house, emptying the garbage, taking things from here to there, moving things around in the world so that they're where they need to be when you need them. Shopping, managing money. So self-care. The fourth one, and the one we often don't think too much about, is rest and restoration. Or if we think about it, recharging your batteries. What we think about is sleep. And sleep is certainly one way you can do that, but we need to realize that there are other ways you recharge your batteries, and they're dependent highly on who you are and how you get your energy back on board. How do you get yourself charged up to do something? Some people like to go off by themselves, and some people like to be around people. The more they're around people, the more energy they get. It has to do with that idea of being an introvert or an extrovert. Recharging batteries is an important part of every day. If your battery doesn't get recharged, you don't get enough rest and restoration. It includes spiritual restoration, bringing your spirit back up. You need that. But you also need taking care of yourself, having fun, and feeling productive. So meaningful activities for somebody with dementia need to be balanced. They still need all four of these. And frankly, as a care partner, so do you. One of our biggest challenges is remembering that people need to feel valued and productive, and that there's more to rest and restoration than sleep. And not all leisure should be passive. And taking care of my brain and my body and myself should match my ability. I'm doing the best I can with that. So what we want to do is create the right support and the right care so they can shine. What we want to do now is show you some examples of these different kinds of activities, sometimes in a group and sometimes alone, but you can see what we're talking about, how you can take someone who is experiencing a diamond moment, emerald, amber, ruby, pearl, and as a sapphire, you have choices. You can provide the right support and the right care in these kinds of activities, filling the day, so you get what you need. And so do they. And when that happens, you're doing it just right. All right, y'all, we're going to do a cooking group this morning. We need to make some muffins for breakfast in the morning. So, is blueberry muffins okay? Anybody need some here in the lineup? You got it that far? Didn't quit on you, huh? Let's see. Now notice we're blaming the product, not the person. That bag, it's such a problem. There we go, and hand it back. After you get your muffin mix in your bowl, there's a cup of milk right beside your bowl that you can pour in there with your muffin mix. Got it, good job. Notice how our friend is looking around. What do you do next? And what's nice about a small group, I'll get that for you. People are doing it. Some folks are doing it, so she gets to see what comes next, and she does it. Lisa, can you get that cup of milk and pour in your muffin in? Cue somebody up to get started, and guess what? There we go. Other people are doing it too because they see what's going on. Let's go ahead and start it up. See if we have enough milk in there. We got plenty of milk to put in there. Okay, now one person who's able gets started with the syrup. Automatic. These are ladies who've made a lot of muffins. Look at that shoulder movement. Look at that action. Good job. Yeah. How's your foot? Good job. Lots of reinforcement. Yes. Can you put these paper cups in there for me? Step by step. All right. Mix right in there. Yeah. We may have more mix than we have cups to put it in. If we do, we'll get another pan. Sharing a muffin pan, getting them all filled up. We may have too much. Just a little warning, there might be actually double panic. What's your favorite part of cooking? Well, better than the eating. Snacks. You like to eat snacks? What's your favorite snack? Nothing. I like nothing too. Evan, what's your favorite part of cooking? Eating or the cooking itself? The cooking is better. I kind of like to eat better myself. So here's a lady who cares more about cooking than eating. If we just have her eat, maybe she won't eat so much, but if we get her to cook and compliment her, she'll eat with us because she cooked for us. Success. If you tell us about soup, and William, he's into detail. We need to support what he cares about. Put another spoonful in each one of them and then let's see how. Because success is in William's eyes. Tell me when you're ready and I'll put it in the oven. Ready? People are using their hands, using their eyes to accomplish a task. This is terrific. This is wonderful. And they did something productive, something of value. I'm still me. Yeah, because her hands coming to her mouth versus you poking her in the mouth with your spoon. And her brain going, whoa, what's that? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's okay. And this is like, oh, okay, I mean, got it. That's pretty easy once I know what it is. Here you go. Wow. In that fun. Oh, both of you are going to have a better time.
And you can see the carrots across. She's probably not been eating very well.
And when I do that, she said, up my Lord, and I can judge.
Let's see her reaction.
Isn't that fun? We're going to try the same thing with Miss Frances now, see if she's okay with it, see if she likes it. She's fine right now, but time will come. Is it good, Lucille? Do you like chili? It's pretty tasty. There you go. Ladies, here's the deal. I made a picture and I cut them up, but now I'm not sure if I have all the pieces. So I'm wondering if you could put this puzzle together for me and see if I've got everything. And I've got several. And I need a little help. Now what you see me doing here is giving them a reason to do what I'm asking them to do. And see if I've lost it. I've done something. I might have made a mistake. Can you help me? If I spread them out. Because I wanted to do them later, but I've got to make sure I've got everything I'm supposed to have. Yeah. And what I did here is I took some pictures, I blew them up, I printed them out on cardstock, I tried whatever all of them should be, and cut them up. I don't know. Now what's nice about this is if I lose a piece, guess what? It's not a big deal. What did I use pictures of for this group? Flowers. Bright colors, clear shapes. Let's see how they do with this. Oh, you and I love jigsaw. Now, look at you. You're great. Look at that. You're good at that. There we go. Look at the hand-eye activity here. Look at how they're trying to figure out how things go together. Let's see here, Martha. Let me try something. Take that piece and try it right there. Now, one of my friends needs a little more help here. It's too many pieces. She can't get started. Now, let's turn that one. There she goes. Look, turn it. Try it right over here. See if you get it to go right there. Now, notice how I tapped on the table and gave her the cue, but I'm not taking a piece from her. She's doing it. Perfect. All right. Well, now we got this. Okay. Now, I think maybe that's in the middle on the bottom. Try and see if it fits like right here or not. So give her a little hint, just straight up. And see if you need her to line up. Did that feel right? That look right? Perfect. And And here I think, trying to see if that last piece fits it. Oh, oh, look at you. That's it. I had it upside down. She's smarter than I am. And look at the lady next to her. She's already got that one together. Evelyn, that's great. Look at you. You're good. You must have done crosswords or jigsaws before too. Wow. And look at you. Let's see if we can get yours to come together. Let's see. See it? Maybe that one will fit right over, right there. Well, it's like, maybe turn it this way. Let's turn it maybe like this and try. Now notice this one has diagonals. It's a little more challenging. Let's see if we can get this one. See if that little point fits right in there. That's perfect. Okay. I think so. What's that? Yep. Nice. See if that one goes down there. Now notice how I'm handing one piece at a time. Yep. I think you're right. Now we've got two at the top. Let's see if you can get those two in lined up here. With a little bit of organizational help and a little bit of structure, look at how well she's doing that white edge. And look at how she's using her brain, her eyes, her hands, like her thinking. One that goes right here, it's sort of tricky. Why don't you put them all out? That might work. Now I'm trying to do two things at one time. Let's see how this goes. That's it. Oh, look. They found my missing piece for me. Boy, you got a good eye. That's it. You got it on the first try. Thank you. You ladies, tell you what, give yourselves a hand. You all got it all in one. Boy, you guys are good. Did you? I can tell. Y'all must have been real good at this when you were on. We didn't have nothing else. We didn't have no any of that stuff. You said first. Well, boy, I'll tell you, it stayed with me.
I see it. So yeah, in this activity, you know, like the things that they're doing is music, life stories, creative activities, gardening. They've got a chicken coop, a good shepherd that doesn't chicken coop outside. They go collect the eggs. Sometimes having a doll. I want to actually still buy myself a real silicon baby. I bought one, but it was a cheap one. It's not what I want. I want a real one, so I can take it, you know, when you go into dementia and when you work with them, so you can, because they love playing with babies as well. So this is about music.
Meeting the spiritual needs of people living with dementia, critical. We need to know who they've been and where they come from. As abilities fade, music remains. Music makes a difference when someone is living with dementia. And it also makes a difference for the person trying to help. Music is a powerful tool. It can actually lift both of you up and give you a way to connect when everything else is falling apart. So my rule is at least twice a day. Use music, use rhythm, because it's a preserved skill. And it also connects emotionally. So what we want to do is consider how to use music, when to use music. So let's talk about how you could use it in something that might be purposeful, to give you a sense of value, to give things a sense of meaning. So what I could do is take a game like a crossword puzzle and use that with a musical theme. All of a sudden, you start feeling like you're contributing, like you have a job, like a purpose, a value. So I want to show you an example of how that might work. Come on up here. And we're going to start, the first one we're going to do is right here. So I'm going to give the clue, they're going to guess me, and you're going to rock. Okay, you got it? Okay. Here's our first clue. One across, 4 letters. Here's the clue. My wild Irish outright. So the word we're looking for, rose. Help us spell it out. R. What W, and then next, E. I think sweet. Two E's, and then a T, heart. H. Is there an E first? H-E-A, heart. R. The last one's heart. You already got it, Crystal. You're fast. Sorry, Crystal, I'm a little slow. All right. Here we go. We're going to go across on this one. Are you ready? Here it is. Rock-a-bye, baby, in the treetop. Treetop. There we go. Tree. Spell tree for me. T-R-E-E. Top. Top. T-O-P. There you go. Treetop. Crystal, you're aces. You're doing a fantastic job. So we've talked about using music as something that has value and makes you feel good and makes you feel productive. But there are other ways you can use it as well. For a leisure activity, passive listening. Now there's value in listening to music because listening to music is going to allow your brain to organize, to sort of relax a little bit and have enjoyment, but also to calm down or to rev up a little. This is really important in the later stages of dementia when somebody is an amber, a ruby, or a pearl, because through the use of music, I actually can guide and direct your brain in which direction I want your limbik system to go. Do I want it more alert and aroused, or do I want it calm and quiet? So using music, I guide and direct. You'll find it pleasurable, you'll enjoy it, but now I've added the fourth piece, bringing your energy back where you want it. So I can get you to rest, or I can get you to activate. Music is the power. Take a look at this clip and see how we use some music to make a difference. So if I want people to move, the first thing I want to do is make sure they can hear what I want them to hear. Bring the volume up just a little bit here. You hear it? Martha, is that too loud or is that okay for you? Okay, so I want you first to just start moving in the chair. Now I'm going to add the movement to the music. Just show them and tell them. We're going to roll those shoulders. We're going to start with the upper body because they're sitting down. There you go. Billy, move a little bit, man. You're sitting too hard. Hey, Jean, start to wiggle. And I call out names so that people pay attention to who I'm talking to. Now we'll do the feet. Forward and back. Forward and back. Oh. Rhythm in my voice, rhythm in my movement. Side to side. They copy. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, now something's good up. Now we got a big hit. Now we've got them warmed up. And look, some people spontaneously, yep, here we go. Some folks, not so much. Okay, so we're just going to do back and forth on your weight. Now we start with some weight shifting. How important is that? Well, everything we do has weight shifting. Sitting down, getting up, going down the hall. 1, 2. And we're rehearsing. Come on up. Now we're going to step forward. Step forward. Now step back. So you're going to step forward and step back. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Now that we have the weight shift, let's add some forward and backward movement. It's what human beings do. Yeah. It's a partner. Let's see. And we're just going to go side to side. Add a new piece. Do it with somebody. Work with somebody else. Now, this actually has been demonstrated to be one of the most effective ways to maintain mobility and use your brain. Dancing with a partner. Tell you what, let's go
I need two boys.
Now notice I started with people who were willing, and now I've got a couple of little hesitant. individual needs. You ready? Just spinning. Stand up and just spin. Movement is limited. Fun isn't. Now we'll spin another one. Ready? Okay, next time is Keith's turn down. I have two people who aren't yet with me.
Yeah, the younger men, yeah. Because you get a lot of young onset dementia nowadays. Because he's still young. I mean, you'll see, Good Shepherd's got probably about 10 men that age. So nice. So precious.
You do a good job, but it's hard to do sometimes. Huh? It is. Well, you know, the deal all of us are. The option of not getting old is good. That's exactly what I feel. You guys, thank you for dancing with me. May I have a hug? You're a good fellow. Now, Gene may not have danced much, but he's moving and he's smiling and he feels included in a group. And that's as important as any physical movement. Oh, you move, girl. Look at Crystal. Crystal is good. And now we have Crystal, who doesn't move her feet at all, but look at her body movement and her enjoyment. This is the power of music, to help people move even when they can't move much. Well, y'all, you can move my hand. Acknowledging the effort. Now, what I want to point out is now we exercise our brain and our body. And now sit down and we'll breathe once or twice and take a break. Now, as a leader, I need to keep track. People have actually been holding their breath a little bit, working hard to do the movement. So it's time for us to breathe in. I need to finish this off and blow out with helping them let go of the breath they're holding and bring in fresh oxygen. Breathe in and calm down and settle in. Ta-da! Give yourself. Yeah. That's what it's all about. Now let's look at music with leisure but active. How can you find joy in music? Well, most people with dementia keep the right temporal lobe for much longer than the left. And what that means is I can often sing, I can hum, I can move rhythmically to the music. And so by giving me a really good beat, you can give me a sense of joy, of enjoyment. That means you want to pick music that matches me, music that has a part in my life, in my history, and in the age group that I'm familiar with. Well, yeah, I want to sort of know the music so I can feel that, but give me a good beat and you can help me really have joy. I feel good. I love it. Take a look at this clip where you can see people actively participating in a leisure activity, using what they have and finding great joy. So let's talk about self-care. Taking care of your body, taking care of your brain, physical fitness, and brain fitness. Well, we could use music here too. How about name that tune? How about dancing? How about moving around and doing something, walking at a certain pace, moving at a certain pace, getting your brain to engage and think about, well, what is that? You go back to that crossword puzzle we did that made you feel productive. It can also activate your brain. And wherever you are, I don't push you beyond where you're comfortable, but I do get you to use what you got. And if you have the ability to spell, hey, let's use that. If you have the ability to recognize a tune, to sing along, hey, that may be as much as you can do, but you're doing the best you can do, and that's a great match. So music has power there. And if you think about it, what do moms use with babies at the very beginning? The rhythm of the lullaby, with the rhythm of your voice. Never forget, music surrounds us. How I choose to sound with you, the rhythm of the speech that I choose to use, it gives you a message. And the message might be, you are amazing. I love being with you. Or, what are you doing? Are you an idiot? Mom. Ooh, I used the rhythm to send a message. Didn't mean to, but I did. So when you think about music, realize you're also the music. I can take my voice and go from calm. I can build energy. I can get you interested. I can get you excited. I can get you queued up. But then I have to remember before it's all over. My job as your partner is to recognize I stirred you up. Now I want to help you calm down. And you do it best when you do it for yourself. The rhythm of a breath. The power that we have, and we don't even know we have the power. There's music everywhere. The music out in nature and the music in sound. Be aware. Music can make a positive difference.
This is just one more example of music. This is a beautiful.
I have one resident that didn't open her eyes, didn't respond. As much as I tried, I went for 2 years. And no matter what I tried, massage wouldn't work, nothing worked. But when we got introduced to the iPods, and the family told me to do that for life, it was amazing once we put the iPod on her. She started taking her feet. She started moving her head. Her son just amazed. Now I'm getting more. I'm seeing her all over again. Hi, Papa. Hi, Papa. How you doing? All right. Fine. Great. So am I. Okay, it's Jerry. How long have you been in the nursing home? Approximately 7 years. He's having seizures. And my mother put her hands on him now. Yes, it was because he was always, fun loving, singing, every occasion he would come out with a song, no matter where he was. I remember as a child, he used to walk us down the street, me and my brother, and he'd stop and just sing it in the rain. He would have us jumping and swinging around home. He was, he was good. He was always into music, always loved singing, dancing. His name was Henry Greer. And looking more or less for religious music, because he enjoys music and he always for the Bible. So you rather have that than
people see Henry in a baby request, unresponsive and almost unalive. Yeah. Yeah, so.
I found your music. You want your music now? Just play the music, okay? And you tell me if it's too loud or not.
Then he is given an encore and Henry the note his favorite music. his face has changed expression. I don't know why. He starts to sing, to rock, and move his arms, and he's being animated by the music.
And he's always telling me in his head like this. He didn't really talk to much people. And then when I introduced the music to him, this is his reaction every day.
And also the cat wants to call music the quicker than out. And Henry is the quicker. He's been fortunate enough. Yeah.
I'm going to take the music for 1 second, okay? Just to ask you a few questions. Okay? I'm going to give it back to you. Okay.
The effect of this one is strong. It's when the headphones are taken off. Henry normally is mute, but we are able to answer yes or no questions. Quite valuable.
Henry,
Yeah.
you like the iPod? You like the music you're hearing?
Yeah.
Tell me about your music.
Well, I don't have one, my man.
You like music?
Yeah, I'm crazy about music. You play beautiful music, beautiful sound, beautiful.
Did you play music when you were? Did you like music when you were young?
Yes, that's the big dances and things.
What was your favorite music when you were young?
Well, yes, well, Cap Calloway was my number one guy I like. That isn't a woman. I need to hear it. A woman to live it.
What's your favorite Cab Calloway song?
Oh, I'll be over Christmas. You can come plans on me with plenty of snow near the door. Present reverend free out. So the sunset was restored to himself. He has remembered who he is, and he's reacquired his identity for a while through the power of music.
What does music bring to you?
Give me the feeling of love. No matter. Think right now, the world needs to come into music, singing. You got beautiful music here. Beautiful, all lovely. And I feel this band of love, dream. Lord came to me, baby, holy, I'm a holy man. So he gave me this sound. Every day, I make two. So they say, don't believe, don't get on me, don't believe. It's beautiful, beautiful policy. You can have all the music, which is exactly like for something as big as a matchbox or whatever. And I think this may be very, very something to animate, organize, and bring a sense of identity back to people who are out of it. Otherwise, music will bring them back into their own personality, their own memories, their own biographies.
It's incredible. There's another video on YouTube as well. You can go Google this music and dementia, where there's a man with Parkinson's. He can't walk. Now with Parkinson's, they freeze up and they get these kind of like robotic movements, and they put music on, and it helps him to move. It helps, it's just incredible what it does. So yeah, it's very, very powerful. We eventually got an overhead projector at the Shepherd. We both had a few TVs, and we had a couple of our residents that just broke the TVs, threw the TVs down. And then we got this overhead projector, and I went to the tip shop, and I got all these old DVDs with the music on, and they just loved the bagpipes. And yeah, just got heaps of them, and I bought it for them. That's $2 and $3, and yeah, and like we always play the music, and they just love it. It's just incredible. So ensure the safety and the comfort of the person, balancing with autonomy and risk taking. So that's all about, their choice and looking after them. Access information about the person's reminiscences and their routines, their families and their carers. Just find out who they were, where they're from, and things like that. Provide support and guidance to the family and the significant others where appropriate. You might have to help them to understand the disease. Refer them to Tifa's now. Let them go and look at her things. It's really helpful. I've done that so many times. Just Google it, go into YouTube and tell them to go and check it out. And they might get a better understanding for their own parents and where they're at as well. We are getting there. But instead of me pushing to you all these things, she's just so much better than me. Give me. Can't do it.
By now I'm in a place that's not familiar, and I don't know what to do, and I'm looking for somebody I might recognize. And I look and I see this lady that's in the room next to me. Oh my God, there you are. I have been looking for you for hours. Why weren't you here before? Now she's another resident. She's an older resident with gray hair, just like my wife. And I've been looking for her a long time. And in this moment, I think I found her. Please come here. Come here, sweetheart. Now she also has dementia. She's alone. Her husband's been dead for years. Come on, baby. Come on. So she will. She'll get up and come on over. Come here. Okay, now understand this has nothing at this point to do with wrong, right. What I was what? Incredibly lonely. And I was a little sad because I couldn't find her. I also told you that. And I don't know what to do with myself. Come on. Come on, come with me. Oh my God, well, you're looking. Oh, come on. Yeah. Yeah, come on. Come on, you come on with me. You stay there now. Come on. Come on. You want to come over?
And they
Can I do
do
anything
this.
really, really awful? The problem is I am still married. But the problem is, in this moment, I don't, number one, know that, and number two, know where that person is, but I'm feeling lonely. And the person that I'm seeing is here, but that's all I have is where I am right now. I'm not being ugly about it, and I do want affection. I want to be connected. And once I start recognizing her, I want to be there. And I want to sit with her, and I want to hug with her, and I want to be close to her, especially if I've always been a toucher. And I like that. And she likes it. We both are enjoying it. We both like it. She likes it. She leans in and she'll rest up next to me, and I love it. And it's just perfect for me. The thing is, what do we want to be real thoughtful about as far as furniture goes? This is where I suggest you get rid of couches in your buildings. Because if you have a couch or a love seat, I'm going to cuddle on it. And again, if my wife is going to be coming on and off the unit, we need to create a situation where her distress level doesn't need to be triggered by my behavior. Because what will she be when she sees this? No doubt about it. Oh no, she's not going to be upset. She will go diamond on you in a heartbeat. And she is going to say, what the hell is going on here? You call this care. How dare you let them? Why? Because she wants what she had. She wants him to be like he used to be. And this feels it looks like what? Cheating. It looks like cheating. And it's hard to let go of that because it hurts so much already because this disease is robbing me of him. And what we need to do is recognize she should not have to see this. That's my job. So I've got to take that step back. And what I would say is, before you come, would you do me one huge favor? Will you stop by the front desk and let them know you're coming? Because what I'm going to do is have him ready to come out with and have you guys sit down on the patio. I've got coffee and everything arranged for you. Now, why do I want him out of the unit with her? Because when she sees this, what could happen next? She thinks he's married to her, and you are, in some ways. In most cases, let me say 75%, do that, 75%, it is not about intercourse. It isn't. It's about human connection and intimacy. We need to be touched as a human being, not as a care object. We need to be loved for who we are in that moment, not grieved for who we used to be. We need to have chances to demonstrate that we care and that we can touch without a sense of obligation. And I need to have people in my life that like me. But we also can create environments of safety for people. And we have to really realize you can't cut me off from my personhood, but at the same time, you can create opportunities where what's happening is I'm getting some kind and gentle touch from more people than this one woman. Why did I seek her out? You remember that? Because I was lonely. And what I'm getting is care done, but not care and comfort given. I spend way too much of my time being disconnected and lost and looking for the friendly, familiar, functional, forgiving person.
So, this when, and I've seen that so many times, you've never seen that. You know, they pay up when they've got dementia, they pay up. And it's, like she says, it's a natural thing. And it's just our responsibility to watch after the family. They have this one old lady, she's paired up with the one old boy, and her husband is still alive. They've been married for 70 years. She's 96, she was 98, sorry. She's born in 2023. So 97, yeah, she would be 98, yeah. She, and his wife was still alive, she's passed away now, but they paired up, and they just, you know, eventually the husband actually came to terms with it and accepted it, because, you know, we were not clever enough to do what she just said, you know. In the beginning, it's locked anyway, so he has to ring the bell to come in and use it, but we never took her out of the, you know, somewhere else. So she actually didn't recognize him anymore when he was coming. She used to say to him, "Who are you?" And she took her rings off him, you know. But yeah, it's quite a challenging thing when that happens. I told you about the two old boys that have matched up. So provide activities to maintain their dignity, skills, and their health. Identify behaviors of concern and potential triggers. So we're talking about behaviors now. Sorry, this unit is so full on. There's so many different sections in it. It's got 6 chapters. So we're at chapter 4. So we'll see how far we get. But I think once you've gone through all of this, it's actually going to, all the pennies are going to fall into place anyway. So once you sit down and you see, then it's going to be quite easy, because she's really, yeah, I reckon it's far better than what the book is.
Challenging behaviors, that's how we see it. They're misbehaving, they have problem behaviors. We've got to do something about this. Now I'm going to call a timeout right now, because the biggest problem we have right here is you've already identified the source of the behavior. You're pretty sure it's them and what they're doing. Timeout. You need to take a step back and realize this is much more complicated than you think. And instead of being such a strong judge and jumping to conclusions, what I want you to do is back off and reframe this. I want you to realize that they're doing the very best they can to try to communicate with you, to meet a need, to express that they aren't liking what you're doing. And unfortunately, you simply see it as not getting their way. What you don't realize is that you started this very frequently in your effort to be helpful. Let me just say to you, you weren't as helpful as you thought you were. I didn't really enjoy the help you gave me. I didn't get it. So you have a choice right now. Are you going to continue to push your agenda to try to get what you want? Or can you take that step back and go, okay, this isn't working. Let me rethink. So what you want to do when you experience a behavior you're not liking, you need to take that step back. Take a deep breath. Let it go. And realize now it's time to kick in the front of your brain and to become a really good detective. Try to figure out what might be driving what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what you're feeling, and what they're feeling. What maybe you're smelling and they're not picking up on, what they're tasting versus what you would be tasting. Because what you want to do is realize that you need to see it from their side. And once you see it from their side, you try to be in their shoes, figure this out. Suddenly, when you see things, hear things, experience things differently, and you make that choice, that decision to do that, the uh-oh becomes an aha, because you can start to realize it's the setting, it's the care, it's the gem. It's who they were before this all started. There's lots of pieces to the puzzle. Your job, if you want to do this well, and do this over the course of this condition, is to stop the judgment, time yourself out, and reframe this behavior. Go from a challenging and frustrating, just don't understand why she's doing this, to pausing for yourself, getting some help, maybe getting somebody else to take a look with you, because maybe you just can't see it because of who you are and how it works. But what you're going to do is take that step back, look more broadly, and at that point, make a decision. What are they trying to do? Are they communicating an unmet physical need? There's basically 5 of them you want to learn about. Or an unmet emotional need. Or are you seeing the emotional need, but you're missing the physical need? Or was it something that is happening in the environment or happened earlier today? As I said, complicated. So you need some training. You need to know what's going on and what's not going on, so you can quit sitting in judgment and start using this. That's the best tool. That and your ability to bring people together to help you. So with challenging behaviors, it's not about them. It's about us and what we choose to do about this effort to communicate on that need and helping us figure out what is the need and how can we better meet it for success for both of us. Making a positive difference because we choose positive approach to the care. Now remember this lady? What do you think she's doing? You see her beating on the chairs, making noise, annoying people, and you know she needs to go to the bathroom. It's been a long time. You tried to make her stop, but she won't. What if I told you she used to clean houses for a while? I'm going to try substitution and a positive approach rather than trying to make her quit. Miss Leona. Well, hey there. Get my hand out the way. You're trying to get it clean. Here, try this. She's a busy woman. I'm going to try a substitution here. I'll pray for you. Not yet. Show her. Rub it with that. Can you rub it? Yeah, here. It's getting there. Trade it. Hey, trade it. Here you go. Take this. All right, give it. Now you got it. Now trade out. There you go. Now rub it. Now I show her. There she goes. There we go. People are less annoyed, not so much noise. And she's cleaning now. I want to reinforce it. That's good. That's good. 2 more to go. I still haven't met. You're doing a fantastic job. That need. 1 more substitution. Nicely done, Leona. She needs to get finished with this. Boy, you are good. So we can move on. With this one, watch me, I'm sneaky. That's it. Good. Good.
Visually eliminate the task.
Whoa. Woo. That is beautiful. You did a fantastic job. Man, you're a good cleaner. Thank you. All right, well, come with me and we'll sit down and take a break. I know you're ready for one, aren't you?
Now, before she goes to sit down, though, we have a place to go.
Girl, you worked hard. You are one of the hardest working women I've ever met. Well, Lord knows, let's go to the ladies before we sit down. Okay.
We changed the challenge to success.
That is so brilliant. I did that all the time, you know, but use some like other way to get them to the toilet. You don't come in with come to the toilet first up. You have to be a bit sneaky. Contribute to team decisions on support planning and review. So working together with other people, you know, getting plans and stuff together. Take action to minimize the likelihood of to reduce the impact of behaviors on the person and others. So, you know, these type of actions. There are so many examples in the book as well. We'll talk about that more when we're answering your questions. In chapter 4.4, evaluate and implement strategies to support planning to ensure the effectiveness to minimize behavior. So you'd have to find out, you know, it would be a different strategy from person to person. And what works today might not work tomorrow. So what, you know, you might have success today in getting them to the toilet and that way tomorrow they're on to you. And they know. So it changes all the time. We had this one old boy, he would run around and throw water, you know, open the tap, throw water everywhere. And then next week, he would run around and he would grab food from everyone. He would just go and grab food and then he runs. And then he gets another behavior and it changes. It's almost like every week there's a new behavior. So it is so challenging. I swear, if you make a movie and it's in the demented water, it's for their protection, you know, but it would be hilarious. It would be a hit because there are so many strange things that happen. But yeah. Keeping on top of it, and there's a group called DBMAS. They're part of Dementia Australia, and we can call on them to help us if we're really struggling and we don't know this person. We had this one lady, you were saying, what's that person I told you about her that was with the light? She was from this place where there was what, a lot of hippies there. Nimby, yeah. And yeah, I told you that she tried to suffocate that lady. And she, you know, DBMAS came in and they helped to try to figure out who she was. And, you know, music, they did a lot of music. They did an iPod full of music for her to help. So those are the type of strategy support teams and things like that we can do. Complete documentation, remember again, it's so essential for funding. Document the behavior, even though it might be something we see all the time. Keep documenting it because that's where our funding comes from. That's where we'll get the money to be able to employ more staff and be more hands-on. Complete the organization reporting requirements, including observations to supervisor. Remember, when there is behaviors of concern, quite often there might be incidents, people hitting each other, that might lead to compulsory reporting, and there'll be incident reports, behavior reports. There's a lot of reports in dementia because, you know, that's the only way you can see the changes happening. The changes happen progressively. Sometimes it happens very quickly, but sometimes it's so slow and progressive that you can't see it because we're right in the midst of it the whole time. But if you document it, you'll see the frequencies increase, or you see they become less active, or whatever changes are happening. And we can only see it when we're documenting it. Complete and maintain and store documentation, of course, privacy and all of that we're aware of. Maintain the documentation that's consistent with reporting requirements, the same thing. We all have to be on the same page that we are documenting the behaviors of concern all the time. You know, it's very, very important. Then let's talk about us. We have to look after ourselves. When we work in this industry, we have to take time out. Your boss is not going to be worried about you. They are not going to be worried about you. They're not going to be worried whether you take them home, and these are crazies, you take them home with you. You get home in the afternoon or at night, and they're all in here, and you just can't get them out. And that's the worst thing if you've got little ones at home, if you've got a husband or a partner, you take these things home with you and you get frustrated with them because they don't know what you're coming from. It is so stressful to work with people, especially demented people. And when you have to know yourself, you have to know when you need help, you need to get yourself identified, look for somebody now that you can go call on as a counselor, that you can go and tackle when things get too much. Most workplaces have counseling agreements with organizations that you might be able to access, and it will have, you get 5 counseling sessions for free, depending on where you're working, but most of them have. They call on that. Make use of that. It doesn't mean you're crazy, just you need to debrief. You need to get rid of this. If you're in this situation, it's like being a trauma nurse or being, a first responder. You right in the midst of it the whole time, and you have to be on top of your game. You have to be aware of where everyone is at all times. You've got 30-odd residents in a unit, and you have to know where every one of them are. You need to know what everyone's mood is, and sometimes there's only 2 of you, and sometimes your partner is not so on top of their game, so you need to be able to do that. And if you are not on top of your game, if you are stressed, if you are emotionally distressed and overloaded, you're not going to be able to manage. You're the leader of the pack. You're the one they all follow around. They watch you. They like beady eyes on you the whole time. You are their star. You are their hero. You are their caregiver. You are their mother. You are everything to them. They've known you all their lives. So you're very precious to them. So you need to be on top of your game. Care for yourself. Get somebody that can do a good massage. Get a number, and and call her and say, "Come to me, I've had a stressful shift. Come and take this knot out of my shoulder." Because you need that, honestly. Oh yeah, red wine, red wine. Only problem is when you're in your 50s, then the hot flashes gets worse. If you try the red wine, it just doesn't want to go together. So implement these strategies, monitor your own stress levels, and when you're working with these people, use self-care strategies. Yeah, make sure you've got some self-care. Run yourself a hot bath. Throw some bubble bath in there, get a glass of red wine, put your favorite music on, get the crazies out of it. Try to leave them at work. And if it comes to a place where you can't, then it's time that you take a break. It's time for a holiday. Because if you don't, you're going to act out. You're going to react. You're going to not be able, you're going to do something wrong. You're going to slap somebody or slap somebody back or scream at somebody, or we are all human. We're all human. We get tired, we get overworked, we get stressed, and we make mistakes. And if you make the mistake, unfortunately, with other people's mothers and fathers, they're very unforgiving. Very unforgiving. If you make the mistake in this type of setting, it's on your blue card. That's you. You might have worked in the industry for 30 years, and suddenly you've got something that blows your life up. And you've loved and cared for, and nobody looks at that. It's so unforgiving. It's like a mechanic that has done his right job all his life, and the one time he forgets to change the brakes or do something, tight a bolt, and there's an accident and that person dies, guess what? So we have to look after ourselves, know when it's time to call time out. When you work together with people, get together once a month or once every 2 months and pack out. That's also a good way, you know, get together at your home and have a bit of a debrief. I found it really helps as well. Yes, and we can pack it off. So that's the end of this presentation. I hope you have found it helpful. I know it was full on and it's a lot of information, but I think I've tried to put it in a, you know, in according to the chapters and sections that she's covered quite a bit of the issues, so we don't have to go through it too much. And it gives us an hour to get through our questions. I'm not overly confident that we'll be able to get through all of the questions, but we'll do our best. I saw some of you have already started highlighting. That's very helpful because I haven't done any of that. Just doing it this way, then I haven't got. Sorry. Let's have a 2-minute break. Okay, I'm there. Sorry for. Question 1. List the 4 common types of dementia. And so it goes down in a little column. So you have to, it's yours, like you have to put the name of the dementia next to it. Yeah. Yeah, so that's on page 12. The column. That's just this, and I can't highlight it anyway, so I can't write on there. So the first one is Lewy body's dementia. That represents 15% to 255. That's your question. Does your question think says 225 or in your question book?
Yeah.
It's meant to be 25%. Often unrecognized as dementia because cognitive dysfunction. So that's Lewy body's dementia. It's this one. So it's about defects. They get hallucinations. It's quite horrendous, actually. I had an old boy in the UK. He used to say, oh, there's the, like, he was in the war the whole time. There was trucks and bombers and things. So like he was in the trenches. So it's quite horrendous, actually. Well, they see things outside. The second one, originally called Pick's disease. Which one is that? Frontal lobe. Represent 85% of all dementias. Alzheimer's. A slow onset one and a very steady decline. And when people have Alzheimer's, it you know, it's really like they decline so to the place where they become bedfast and they don't move and talk and swallow and things. Vascular dementia is the last one, previously called infract dementia, associated with vascular risk factors such as hypertension, diabetes, and so on. I'm not spending too much time on the different types of dementia. You guys are going to have a research project at the end where you are going to go and read about it a lot. So I'm going to throw that all back in your court. To me, it's more important to spend time on how to deal with it than actually to know the specific types of dementia. That's, you know, yeah, you might be able to identify, okay, he's got that type or that type of dementia, but it's not as essential to you as a care worker as what it is into know how to deal with behaviors and knowing how to understand them as individuals. Question 2, in your own words, summarize what person-centered care means. We've spoken about certain cares, so this is on page 21. Yeah, but we know that person-centered care is about the person, you know, recognizing them as an individual, their unique values, their personal history. It's so important with people with dementia that you know the story. And sometimes when they come to facilities a bit later on, when they are declined quite a lot already, getting those stories is sometimes quite challenging because the family, a lot of them are so exhausted they don't have time or effort to tell you the stories. You know, when I did a sit for dementia with Dementia Australia some years ago, and we made like a memory book for ourselves, which is really great little exercise to do. Where we had a flower, and on the petals of the flower we had all the different, like she was saying, you know, types of entertainment or types of needs we have, and then we identified what we like. Like, you know, I like red wine and Joe Numbertrady and candles, and, you know, put those things in a memory book that if you ever get dementia, that people will know what you want. You know, so make a little something for yourself, and doing it, have a little exercise for yourself, knowing what you'd like, you know, what do you want people to put on your iPod when they stick that in your ear. And it helps you then when you deal with your clients to sort of try to figure out what they like. And it might be hard, but you might play music and you realize, oh, this old boy really likes the bagpipes. They all like the pipes. It's one of those music you can listen to it if you sit still and watch it, but you can't listen to it in the background. It's so annoying. Next question, question 3. The ultimate goal of a person-centered plan is to create partnership among aged care facility, home staff, community staff, and residents for clients with dementia and their family and the quality of care provided. Provide 4 things that should be considered for each of the listed topics below. Okay, so it's quite a bit. Person with dementia, page 21. Person with dementia, there's all 4 there. Staff providing care, it's 4 there. This unit, this learning of this assessment is very elaborate. It's not just one answer, but it's going to take you guys a while to get through it. It's a lot of work. Staff providing care, on the job centered care, it's all there in page, you know, and attitudes is down here as well. But of course, abbreviate. I mean, you don't, if it says 4, and you can also abbreviate the 4. So non-verbal interactions, maybe just go showing respect for the person's individuality or something, you know, just make it a little bit shorter. Get the key points in the whole sentence and make it shorter. Question 4, multiple choice. So you have an aged care worker A, developing and monitoring, evaluating care plans for demented clients, demanding creativity, patience, and judgment for all levels of staff, as well as from the family. And an aged care worker B that says these plans must be constantly revised with changes in the client's self-care capacity, or as their illness develop, and family caregivers should participate in this planning. Which one is correct? Both of them. Answers on page 24 also. Just remembering that it's all here about care plans and interpreting care plans, but the disease changes so quickly. You know, there's constant updates needed. What they can do yesterday, they won't be able to do tomorrow anymore. The behaviors change. So it's almost, I want to say, a weekly update. It's not even 3 monthly. You will be, you know, you have to really be on the ball. And keeping the family intact, or, you know, part of that, it helps to make the process shorter. Question 5. A care plan should be more specific than encouraging independent functioning. There's 3 things that a care plan should begin with. I've lost my cursor. It's on page 24, specific things that can the client can do themselves. So it's about independence. It's one thing. What they may need assistance with. That's the 3. Where did you find those? I've already started. Okay, yeah. That's it. Sorry. So there's the 3 things there. And you can put it in bullets if you want. Yeah, just put, what you did was what the model answer is. And it's 3 bullet points. Care plans should suggest consistent approaches to the client by both family and staff, using recommendations for both family and staff. There's 3 approaches that would generally be used. This is on page 25. Keeping simple, there's other do's. Yeah, keeping it simple, get some relief, talk about your duties, be gentle. You only have to list 3 of them. Questions, am I going too quick? Good. Question 7, to identify and address person's needs for stable and familiar environment and aged care facility that values a person-centered philosophy of care. I wanted to say psychology. Will engage in various activities. List 6 of these activities. So this is on page 27. And there are things to uphold the value of the person regardless of the level of functioning. And it's just all these. There's 17 of them. You have to list 6 of them. You know, it's about the person. It's person-centered approach. It's about what diamond are they? Are they a diamond? Are they a ruby? Are they a, you know, what have they got left? What can we work with? How can we make it better for them? You know, and restraint comes straight after this. Like, as a topic, and it sits straight after that, because behaviors, 99% of the time, is an unmet need. That's why it sits there. It's they are trying to tell you something. They're trying to say to you something, and they just don't know how to tell you, you know, I need to go to the toilet. I'm wet, I'm cold, I'm hungry, I'm tired. And the thing what Snow was saying there about winding them up, sometimes you get these characters that you work with that are winders. They come in and they're so busy, so cheery, and so fantastic, and then by the time you get onto shift, the whole house is wound up. And it's so hard to deal with that because everyone's running around and like, it's just crazy. And a lot of moonlighting behaviors comes also from them not having a bit of rest in the afternoon. So these are the needs that we need to identify to establish a stable environment. Question 8, there are many indicators of possible elderly abuse. So this is on page 30. So physical, of course, it's unexplained injuries, cuts, bruises, burns, psychological, depression, confusion, financial, they've got no money for, they haven't got any toiletries, they haven't got any clothing, they haven't got shoes, they haven't got things, you know, they just, their things are in, especially with dementia, it's like really, they don't have anything, you know, quite often they don't, because the family are taking advantage of them. And it's a really hard one. It is actually like really recently become a criminal offence, been criminalized in HT as well, because it's been really hard to prove. But there is a little bit more help in the sense that if you report it, that it will be investigated a little bit deeper than what it previously was. So previously it would just be, oh, they're the next of kin and they make decisions. We had an old boy that he was cane farmer, he was a bachelor, and his neighbor became his carer. And yeah, Shane, the old boy died, but there was some dodgy things about his stuff. Hey, this neighbor had made himself next of kin. And he took this old boy to the doctor, to the lawyers and stuff, and got himself appointed next of kin after this old boy was diagnosed with dementia. Nobody ever reported it. Because he never got married, he was an old bachelor. His family was down somewhere down south, and when they came up to visit, this next of kin neighbor of his did like refused for his family to come in and to see him. And our hands was tied because he had deleted it. But I whispered in the next of kin's ears. I said to them, if I was you, I'd take this to court because he was, like, we can't do anything about it. The advocacy service is just the next road down. If you go in Victoria Street, the next road, yeah. Down that side is the advocacy service. You can go to them and report things like that as well, or talk to somebody else in the family, because they'd have to go to court about it. And maybe, I mean, in his case, they should have put a public trustee in place over his things instead of this old boy, and it probably would have reverted back to his previous, because he had a new will drawn up, so he landed up probably inheriting his cane farm after he died. His family got nothing. It is so bad. Sexual was quite obvious. Neglect, of course, very similar to financial abuse, because the neglect comes, they neglect themselves. We had another old boy. He was living in Slave Point, and he had a house there. one of his daughters is a drug addict, and he got dementia, lost his speech. Lovely old boy. His surname was Walker. I always used to say, "Come on, get up, let's go for his path away so I can use his name." No, you're not an old sitter, you're a walker. Come on. And then I used to tell him the joke. I used to say to him, what do you call a fly if you pull his wings off? And he go, oh, and then I always thought it was so funny. But he was so cute. But he became part of public trustee because his daughters are quite young. They're our age. And this one daughter took advantage of him, and yeah, they managed to put it through. So everything we needed for him, we had to put through the public trustee at this process. But he was so neglected when he came in. Poor old boy, he was in such a mess when they took him out of his house. He was in that house by himself, no speech. No family looking after him. It was horrendous. Question 9. If anything about the older person makes you question whether are they being harmed, who must you report this to? Page 29. There's signs of abuse. We always straight away report to our supervisor anyways. So we have to talk to our supervisor first up, and then make it. Most facilities have a reporting process, so they'd be trying to find a specific answer. But you go to your supervisor, and then after that you also make a report. So you go to the ombudsman, yeah. You can order. Yeah, you can take it further. Yeah, most. I mean, all of you will probably work in a facility. If you are, studying aged care, that's or sometimes at home care. Home care is, of course, that is very challenging because you don't have that protection that you have in an aged care facility when it comes to abuse and abuse issues. You might have to take liberty by going to advocacy service or actually straight go to the police, where in a facility the systems are quite good, so they have specific reporting methods and ways of dealing with it. Question 10, when you have witnessed or a suspicion of harm, neglect or abuse, it is difficult to know when to report, as sometimes there may be no real hard evidence to support your opinion. Only observe signs by you. However, under the legislation, there's a mandatory report requirement for your job. There's 4 challenges of mandatory report in our care profession. So on page 32. So of course, sexual abuse. So mandatory report could be upfront disclosure to families. When it's appropriate to report. The question is actually challenges. Oh, so this is 4 challenges. For mandatory report. So identifying whether situations, sometimes it might be the family member being the person that you need to report. Often offering suggestions or alternatives to tell them not to tell or not to tell that the report will be made. Yeah, sometimes you're not informing the family about it. It's a challenge as well. And sometimes the consequences of actually reporting it, you might lose your job if you work in the community and you are are paid by the actual caregiver that is the one that is doing the abuse.
Not only that, if you go through the community, especially band-aids, spread using it around town.
Yeah, like I told you guys about that Schumacher, that story, and what she did to me, you know. I mean, I wasn't aware even after that, but that's horrendous when I finally found out it was too late to even rectify it with much, gone to a grave, not thinking that. So yeah, it's sometimes a real challenge, and we have to sometimes be brave in any ways when we do speak up about anything. There's always consequences when you do speak up, you know. Now last week, I've been talking to the paper about my son's addiction, and after that, remember that petition that we all signed? So it went to the council and that pushed it through to the newspaper picked up on it. So, you know, they had interviewed me, and yesterday I met the shadow health minister because they then saw the article. So even more yesterday, they were asking me a lot of good questions. So a lot of that would have come into the paper today. And last night I was lying awake, even with Valerie screaming and crying. I thought to myself, some of the things are very unique. And if my son or my son's girlfriend reads the stuff, they might get a wrong impression. And I was thinking, it was the truth, but still, it's unique to our situation. And if it comes out, you know, if the wrong people read it and the interpretation, and quite often when, you know, so like, yeah, maybe I didn't feel so brave when I was doing it. I was just, oh yeah, it was the issue, you know, all this stuff. But now I'm starting to go, I should have done it, you know, the consequences might be quite, you know, scary, like thinking, you know, whatever, people, how they might interpret whatever, you know. So I think whenever you speak up, you have to be brave. It is a bit of a challenge to us to do that. Question 12. Oh, sorry. Question 11. Where are we? 11. Give 2 examples of nonverbal methods of communication. So page 34. Just nonverbal. Yeah, just touch, eye contact. Eye contact. Body language. Yeah. Suggestion, yeah. Nonverbal touch, facial expression, and leading them, you know, that hand when we lead them to make them aware of that you're going to care for them. And most behaviors happen when you go for personal care. That's where the triggers are, because they don't understand what you're doing, and it's invasive, you know. That's where they want to kick and scream and shout and hit and carry on. Exactly. That's what my 3-year-old does too. She, you know. That can smack you that you see stars. Yeah. Yeah, where when a 1-year-old slaps you or kicks you, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Question 12, give an example of how you provide reassurance on page 37. So it's about reassuring words, phrases, body language. So it's about reminders of the day, the time, relationship, occasions, reassuring words, phrases, and body language. 37. 37. Reminders, so yeah, reassuring phrases. Yeah. And what Tifa was doing there with that old girl, eating that, you know, that finding them, praising them, you know, say, oh, good job, and oh, you need a rest now. And when she was doing the activity with baking the cupcakes, you know, encouraging them. Same with the puzzles, you know, that type of encouragement and yeah, and recognizing and stuff like that. Question 13, there's 3 examples of validating strategies that, validation strategies that you could use if the person is affected by dementia or showing signs of agitation and distress. This is on page 38. It's about empathy. 38, yeah. Empathy, acceptance of the person's reality. That must be in allowing expression of distress, providing verbal and physical reassurance, using remises. Oh, here we go. Acknowledgement. So it's what that last one, using remises frequently to connect with the client. Knowing who they are and where they come from is so helpful. I told you about the one old darling, Miss Peachy. She's gone now. She, her dad was a policeman, she told me, and they used to shoot the roofs out in the outback, and you know, and whenever I wanted to get her to do something with me, I would go, let's go shoot a roof. And then she would be there, oh yes, she'd be all coming with me because she was ready to go shoot a roof. We're right there, you know, and it just gets them going, sort of just get that movement going. Once you get the movement going, then it's easier. The next person, like, the one day, oh man, she used to scream when we showered her. The one day I was very determined I was going to get her into the shower. She didn't have a shower for about a week. So I got her into the shower, got her all undressed and ready to go, with her clothes, got it off and everything. And she trapped me behind the door. She could, you know how the door in the corner is there? So she was behind there, and I couldn't get her from there to come around to the side. I was traumatized by the end of that. Hey, when I came out, I said, never again. And I never showered her again. I refused. I was so traumatized after that. Because she was screaming her little head off, like, you know, and I was like, oh no, I'm not doing anything to you. And you know, it's just, oh man. Yeah, sometimes it can be so hard. And she just couldn't get orientated to just come this way so we can get her dressed and get warm, and we stuck behind the door. And she was strong too. There was question 14, being allowed to carry on with everyday activities for as long as possible will not only help the person to hold on to these skills and encourage independence, but it will allow them or him and her to feel able to contribute and know that they are valued. This sense of purpose and well-being should be ensured. And the person, make the person less agitated and anxious. There's 5 reason activities. 5. There's 5 reasons why activities are so important. I should have had an S beyond that reason. This is on page 48 and 49. So we're talking about helping them to maintain independence, improve their self-esteem, improve the quality of life, you know, compensate for the loss of abilities, allowing them to express their feelings and thoughts through music and art, singing and dance, bring pleasure to both you by sharing these moments together, provide social contact through social activities and outings, keep in touch with their family. And sometimes, and this has happened a few times with few different clients that I've seen that happen, they they act out of character, or they start. We have this one lovey, she's still alive. She would just get up and start walking, and she does fall over all the time. Most of the time she's quite peaceful and quiet and sitting down, but then she would start, she gets this. When you put her into bed, you turn yourself, before you get her, then she's up in bed. And you know, she doesn't walk. You walk so slow and you walk with her. And when you turn your back, before you know it, she's 3-4 bedrooms down in somebody else's bedroom. And you're like, how the heck did you get here so quick, you know? How they can move when you're not watching. But with her, it is, she misses her son. When she's doing that, it's because she's missing her family, hasn't been there for a while. And she would keep getting up to go look for them. And if you give her the opportunity to tell her, she'll tell you, I'm going to get my husband, she would say, but it's actually her son. And then we'll call him and he'll come. He's quite handsome. He comes and he plays the guitar for her. And I think she's settled again after that for days. She's fine. You don't have any issues with her. The same with Peachy. She was the same. She always used to call, what did she call her son? My dad. She used to call her son my dad. I'm missing my, he probably looked like her dad. My dad, I'm missing my dad. She would actually voice it and she would get difficult. She would start clapping us away and she'd do things like that. And then, you know, it's time, call the family. Say, can you please make it to Mom's missing you? People get busy and they, you know, they think their parents are cared for, not realizing that they actually are starting to miss them. And because they don't recognize them, because they don't call them their son, you know, they think they don't know who they are, but they do. And it's so amazing when they've been there, then they settle for a while. So. Question 15, routines and continuity are important in activities. It is especially useful to encourage daily activities. There's 3 activities that could be organized easily. Yeah, that's it. Page 48. Just getting them all ready for the day. Polishing the furniture, memory box, why can't I see it on page 48? It's at page 49. Yeah, looking through their life history. Photo album is so useful when you have a nice photo album. Let's go for a walk. You know, music. Put the music on. Have a dance. So easy. You enjoy it, they enjoy it. Sing with Nat King Cole and what are all those old boys? All the music from the 30s and the 40s to go right back to that. That's where iPod and or you know the phone is really helpful. You can just Google music from the 40s and it'll come up. Question 16, keep a routine is very important. Plan activities, which part of regular routine will help you structure the day. Have a variety of activities organized. Now 3 things that you need to consider while planning these activities. I don't have a page number. All right. Exactly that. Yeah, there you get it. So, yeah. So, just, you know, by knowing who they were, where they come from, you know, so useful. Yeah, so useful. Honestly, it's really one of the most useful things is knowing where they're from. This old boy that runs around throwing the water around, he was a marathon runner. Exactly, that's what they do. Grab the bottle, have a drink, throw it away, and carry on going. You know, it's like my old darling rubber nosy. She was a teacher. She used to come and tell her, oh, everyone has to sit, and she surrounds them up. And I used to. There was I don't know now. I used to say to her, these are grown-ups, my darling, they're not your children. People used to get angry with her because she would jump them around. In her demented language, she would jump them around and order them. And she starts standing there and throw a finger around and oh, she used to slap us too. But you know what was different when she slapped you, because it was to get away from me type slap. It wasn't like an, you know, come from like I'm angry with you slap. So yeah, reminiscence is the way of question 17 of reviewing the past events. That's usually a very positive, rewarding activity. Every person with dementia cannot participate verbally. It still gives them a pleasure to be involved in reflections on the past. Provide examples of activities. On page 53 and 54, so it's all these senses, family and friends. So how would you help the person to remember? So just think about it. Yeah, ask them, you know, while you can still. Sometimes it might be hard and you might not know, you might have to ask the family. We had this one old darling, she was a pianist in the church for years and years and years. She lost her language. She was really, really aggressive, very hard to deal with. She could not tell you what she wants, anything. But I put her in a wheelchair and I take her to the piano and I start a song, I start singing a song. She plays beautifully, no problem. It was just so amazing, and because I knew it was so easy when she was difficult, and you know, quite a few nurses you get, quite a few RNs that are demented. I've had a few. She was one of them. Another one that was in the same room before her, Lizzie. She was a big lady. She used to go out. She had frontal lobe dementia, so she got really aggressive and throw things and break things and stuff. With her, the same music. If I go in and she's so aggressive, I just sing a song while I'm there, and she gets into it. She sings with me, and then we start doing things, and you know, you manage to get to it. Or talk to, like with Lizzie, talk to her about nursing. It's something we have in common. She was a midwife. She used to catch quite a few babies in Mackay. A lot of people knew her. Hey, I went to her funeral. I never went to many. I've only gone to 3 or 4 funerals in all my time of being a carer, and Lizzie was one of them. And I've never seen such a big funeral. She knew, so many people knew her. And you know what's beautiful about funerals? And it's so sad that it only comes up then, all these life stories, and you go like, why don't these families like give you all this information while they're still alive? Because it's so useful. But yeah, her funeral was amazing, and they had videos. She had a motorbike. I never knew that. If I knew that was she was still alive. She had a big Harley she used to drive in her young days, and yeah, learned so much about her after she passed. But yeah, if you can get to know these things before the time, it's brilliant. About the senses, special senses, smell, touch. So they make these boards they can feel, and it's got like zips on them, or you know, things like that. Yeah, and get them to play with that. Touch them. Yeah. And again, and the music are always a powerful thing with the senses. Music are so powerful. There's so many examples of music being incredible. Friends and family, it's social contact's very important. So help them, their grandchildren. We have one little darling, I think she's still alive. Her grandchildren very fond of her. They would come and then they would take her in a wheelchair because Good Shepherd's not so far from the beach. And then they would come with fish and chips and they would put her in the wheelchair and they would push her down to the beach and they have fish and chips down the beach, her grandchildren. And it's so cute. Yeah, her one granddaughter is beautiful. She used to always come and be with Grandma. I really love Grandma. Get the grandchildren involved. Little kids. That's so magic. If you've got little ones, take your little ones to work every now and then, you know. Let them go play with them. They just love it. They love it. Eyes is on those little ones. It's just incredible. It just lights up that room. It's just amazing. Memory boxes, life story books. So putting a memory box together to have objects, photos, rings. Peachy again. Peachy used to collect shells. And I always used to say to her, she shells at the seashore. And then she would go with me, singing with me. And I knew she was collecting, had this huge collection. So whenever I went to the beach, I used to pick up shells for her and take it back. Because obviously the shells she had must have been a bright thing and whatever. I never saw it. The kids never brought it in. Must have been real, like, fancy shells. But I used to collect little shells for her and take it to her and put in little places so that she can play with it, and you know. And it's good when you know these things. It's really nice. Question 18, get out some of the exercises and change the scene will help both of you. Try to incorporate a walk. List 3 activities that you can do with them. I haven't got a page number either, but you can think for yourself. Easy. Yeah, 36 are you? 56. Go for a walk. Visit the museum. Go for a drive. Sometimes it can be challenging. We have this one lady, yeah, theatre, go for a drive. She's still young. She's only just turned 60 last year. That was the one that slapped me the one time so bad. And she's gone back to, because she started slapping the old people, and some of them, you know, obviously like my little Peachy, she was all hunched over and very slow, and you know, and she used to run around and slap them. And if you slap a little old darling that's 80 and you 60, if she goes down, you know, it's not pretty. So she went back home, and her husband took her back home, and he's got a carer to care for at home. She loves going to shops. They take her to Canada's. I just saw her in Mount Pleasant probably about 6 months ago again still, but it's so dangerous because she does that. She has that behavior. You get to a traffic light and she just jump out the car, you know, or she'll start slapping you while you're driving. So, or sometimes you get them, they go out with you and then they don't want to go back. You have another issue because they take the road, you know, they just want to go, and that's why they're in a secure facility. So going out can be a bit of a challenge, but they've got, Shepherd's got a bus. So the bus come and then on different days, and then they take the whole lot out on the bus, and then they, I don't know if they've got an appointment with the guy with the little ice cream truck, and then they meet him up somewhere and they have an ice cream, and or they go up to the lookout points you know, they're at Lambert's Beach and have an ice cream, and yeah, they love it. They love it. Some of them can't wait to go out on the bus. But then again, there's one of, she's so funny. She's got Chinese somewhere in the background, but she's a big lady and she's a real rough voice. And she's like, "Where's the bus? I want to go out on the bus." She was always want to go out on the bus, and she's always looking at the window. So they stopped taking her out because she refuses to come back. But she's so cute too. Her son is a bikie. Actually, he's got a big fat beard and he comes in there real tough. So one time, talk about that, there was one of, and I think she's passed away now, the big lady, like a real strong Aussie lady. And the one day she's packing up all of her stuff on her wheelie walk. She's going home. She's going home now. So I got her. And I said, "Come, hey, you have to go back in. It's dark out there. You can't go now." She said, "What do you mean? My children are bikies. They don't care that it's dark out there." Okay. What do you do? Oh, you should. Oh, we could make movies. Honestly, it's just so many things. Question 19. When providing activities with people and exercise, give 4 examples of what you could do to ensure the safety and the comfort of that person. On page 58 and onto page 67, so it goes on about safety. It's from page 58 to page 67, so so it's all, you know, there's all these pages are full of the different diseases and like Alzheimer's, and activities sometimes may involve minimal instructions and repetitiveness. It's about communicating effectively. But if you think about it, just sit and think about it, how could you keep somebody safe? You know? It's familiar routines. It's about, yeah, you're not 100%, but some say, you know, having a familiar place around thing, that is one of the key thing. Also, like control the temperature of the water. They do that in aged care facilities. The water is not that hot. Most of the time, you can shower somebody just with the hot water because they put the temperature so low. With safely preparing food or storing food, there's safety in that. Of course, you can get gadgets that they can't cut themselves accidentally on. If you think about it, so if they cut themselves with knives, or, you know, knife is a dangerous thing for somebody with dementia, then get that little thing that they can just put the thing in, and if you work in home care and they want to still do their own cutting, that they can just chop with that chopper that you can just turn like that. Get some gadgets to help you to safely prepare, or just get frozen food if they still want, you know, and they still can think like that packets of that people was using there. Those easy to prepare. It's just a cup of milk in it and that's it, you know. But helping them, giving them the opportunity to do some of it, but still being aware of that. Security is a big thing. Making sure that the doors are locked. Sometimes one of the carers, one of my students was talking to me not so long ago. She said she was looking after a lady, she's got dementia, and whenever she takes flight, she would go down to the beach. But she would actually lock people in the house. I don't know whether she'd take the key and lock them in the house. And then they trapped, they can't get out to get to her. So one of the carers was saying they made some plan on the back door so that she couldn't lock the back door. So the back door is always open, which is not ideal in the anymore, but they had to do that for their own safety. So, you know, they have to get out, call the ambulance, or she's gone, that they can get hold of her quicker. Yeah, watch the triggers. As you get to know them, I suppose that's another thing. Knowing where they are, being aware of what could set them off. Like my old roughy boy, my old publican, how he used to get angry with the girls. I just keep him away from the girls. Peachy used to get up him all the time. She got in front of him the one day. Get out of my way, you little so-and-so. She was so cute. I just loved her. So, yes, just think about like general things to keep people safe, you know. Obviously, you know, the stove, maybe cupboard doors locked, like with the kiddie locks or things like that. The knives stored up high. If you work in the community, obviously we cannot wrap them up, but we can do the best we can. Question 20, explain briefly why it's appropriate to call the family carers significant others in developing activities. On page 59, it's always good to get them to be involved because obviously they'll know more about that person than anyone else. And because it's valuable commodity to know who they are in our efforts to care for them. So is it 68? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like because they are this, you know, this wealth of information, and if they can understand, which is so sad, but quite often they drop them off there. They've got nothing personal. Like our old marathon runner, he's sitting in that room of his, and there's nothing in there. I don't know how many times I have asked his wife, and she's quite young still as well, bring some of his stuff. Yeah, but he throws it away, or you know, because he doesn't really care for it. But still, it doesn't matter. It's just things, you know. If he was a fisherman, bring a reel, and you know, everyone has got some or other collection, don't they? It just does my head in. Just bring their things. You know, don't be so angry with. She's so angry with him because he got dementia. It's not his fault. She's not much older than us. He's probably in his 60s. He's also quite young still. He still runs around. But she's so angry with him. They went to Paris, the last trip they went to Paris on a boat trip. He treasured a photo that he had with his wife and him in front of the Eiffel Tower. He used to walk around there. The DT's laminated it eventually. He would go everywhere with that photo. And she was just so angry. His room is bare, there's nothing in his room. And then he'd go around collecting stuff and collecting cups and, you know, take things from other people's rooms and take it to his room, put it all on the floor and then pee on it all. Oh, gee, you'd come in there and there'll be 20 cups in there. Knives and forks under the bed, and every night when he goes to sleep, we'll go, you know, sneak in and get everything. Because if you go in and get it while he's awake and he gets into an argument with you, it's fine. He doesn't want to let go of it. Question 21, family members and particularly those involved in previous care of the client have much useful information to offer, a great deal of information on your client, the previous personality, attitudes, interests. What things should you do when communicating with the family and these particular issues? This is this tell the family. Just the answer there. But it's the first one, the question on top is also, it's just appropriate to get them involved because they do know. But just also remember the empathy with the family. It is because it's such a horrendous disease. The family, 9 out of 10 times, are in such a sad place themselves that they just, it's really hard for them to even want anything to do with them at that time. So getting through to them is really hard. But you have to have because we were not there, and it's come on for a long time. By the time they come to us, it's taken maybe 5 or 10 years of their lives of the family running around them, trying to, protect them, comfort them, taking blows from them. That by the time we come into the picture, things are not so pretty between them, in the family dynamics. And it's not their fault. It's part of the disease. It's how it happens, Shall we go on with the rest of the questions next week? It's 1 o'clock. Because it's been a head full. I'm sure you guys are all out of it. Yeah, no, I get you. All right, we'll carry on with the rest of the questions next week.